come down, I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Yo, it's Thursday.
You're back.
Yo. Patriots Across the Pond, live, in fact, with Stewie and Elisa V. How are you, Elisa?
I'm doing really well. I'm having surprisingly, the last 2 weeks have been really heavy and emotional and I'm feeling amazing today.
Good. Loads of people are going through so many ups and downs of waves of emotions and tiredness and illness and stress. I'm not doing any of it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, there's so much purging. Yeah, there's so much purging going on right now, which is really good. But, I just have to interject something. So I was at a business meeting this morning and I love these people. They're so sweet and we network and, we get an opportunity to talk a little bit about ourselves too, and our journeys in terms of mostly business, right? But every time I hear a story of how somebody had the C word or any other disease or ailment, and then I listen to what the cure is, which is usually always with a scalpel or some kind of medication that is pharmaceutical, I just freeze because these people really aren't awakened. So I could take them kind of to the side sometimes and tell them. But a lot of times these are stories that already happened, but their mindset is still in that. And it literally breaks my heart that how people are just so. And the conversation came up today because a lot of people were talking about some of their journeys about COVID. And so many people talking about how afraid, how we didn't know what was going to happen. And I just wanted to raise my hand and go, not me. I wasn't scared. But it's kind of like when people are talking, kind of can't interrupt, it's like just being polite and letting them tell their story. But I found that I'm kind of tired of just kind of sitting there trying to educate. I find it easier when you take someone aside and you try to address what their pain point is and tell them how there's another way and another way of looking at it. But I don't know. But the thing I will say, however, is that a lot of people are talking about the COVID times and how their life changed for the better. And they started to do more of this or more of that. Now, they weren't awake in the way we are, but I was saying to myself, a lot of people, their frequency was rising just the same because of the way they were seeing things or the way their lives were changing. But, still a lot of people that aren't aware.
Talking about the C then, were you talking about COVID or were you talking about the big C?
The big C.
Yeah, okay. So there's only 3 treatments for that, isn't there? And to simplify it, it's cut, burn, or poison.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They either operate it out of you or they do one of the other 2.
But you left out the most important part of it. The first part of it is the overwhelming helplessness and fear. Because without that, people would have a more open mind about doing other things. They knock out every sense of of empowerment with the fear that this is the worst thing that can happen to you and it's a death sentence. And so where does that put the person? Lowers their vibration and puts them in a way that they can be controlled.
It wouldn't be like that with me at all. I mean, if I ever got a diagnosis of that, that would be the last time I would be in the hospital. Thank you very much. Now, I will come home. I've got many lists of protocols. I've done enough research myself, you know, apricot seeds and all these.
100%.
There's a massive long list. I'd go on an alkaline diet. I'd start fast properly. I'd do just many things for my own personal thing. You know, even the Femben and ivermectin, you know, the Mahoney's Paragon thing, that's got 2 protocols, one for parasites and one for the, you know, so
yeah. Well, all his stuff. I think he also has the, you know, the B what is it? B17, right? Which is
seeds, isn't it?
Yeah. But you know, here's the thing, and I'm glad we went down this road a little bit, because the main thing that I think has come out of all this, and especially with the COVID shot, you know, I think there's been a lot more information that has come out about how to stay healthy too. Like, you know, so much of they put on us because of diet and sugar and, you know, just, I mean, I'm just scratching the surface, right? With all the stuff in our food. And so how many people thought about taking a detox bath? You know what I mean? Just like doing that, or thinking about a parasite cleanse. So even those of us that, you know, have felt and considered ourselves awakened through the years, we learned a lot in the last few years from those brave health people that were coming out and saying, and a lot of it was under the guise of detoxing from the shot. But I really believe that the underlying message was, it doesn't matter whether you had the shot or not, because maybe we had shots when we were younger, or, you know, all the food and all the nasty stuff that surrounds us. And it was training us that even if you're not, you didn't get the COVID vax, you still are thinking about these different ways to stay healthy. So I don't think that was by accident, you know, that all that stuff was coming out, because now look, we're living, even though we were never living in that fear, we're just doing so many more healthy things that we might not have done before, right? So that's sort of another piece of this 5D chessboard that was at work during this time to make us more aware of how to take care of ourselves.
Yes, and I just want to respond to that I think the people that learned the most over this last 5 years were the people that were already awake, and those that are warning against don't take the jab, because, and morning from Razor Rick there, I'm going to say afternoon to you, sir.
Good morning, Razor.
Yeah, lovely to see you. Now, what I was going to say, yeah, the people that were already awake are the people that learned the most, because we all of a sudden were going, well, we're not taking that anyway, 100%. We're not wearing masks, but we don't now want to go near the hospital. So we were purchasing ivermectin and things from India, making our own homemade hydroxychloroquine, which I've got a recipe for, which is great. People were doing that. That's just lemon peel, grapefruit peel, and water. You know, it was all these things that we were doing, learning about our health, distilling our water, looking into alternative medications, cannabis oil, all of these sorts of things, you know. And most of us have been symptom free. Do you know what I mean? We've had a few flus, and some of us got the COVID or whatever it was, but I can tell you a story about that. I was eating some vegan crispy duck, and it was this packet of meat, it was grey, and I was trying to fry it in the frying pan to get a bit of crisp and brownness on it, because I had the pancakes ready and some cucumber and stuff, and the spring onion hoisin sauce. And this is in my 2 years vegetarian stage. Okay. And it would not go any other colour than grey. Anyway, halfway through my first roll, I thought, that is not very nice. And it was about an hour later, right, that I got ill in COVID, lost my sense of smell and all that sort of stuff. Oh, no. I went from feeling absolutely fine, like I do now, to ill AF in about 10 seconds, right? About an hour later. And I hadn't been around anyone that day, you know, all those sorts of things. And it was, I believe it was potentially something to do with that, or it my immune system or whatever it did to me brought something out. But yeah.
Wow. Well, look, let's remember one thing that they don't tell us. They tell us you're sick, right? So now, of course, we tell ourselves that, right? I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. But when we get a cold or we get the flu, it's just the body's way of detoxing. Something was introduced that might have been toxic or isn't supposed to be there. So even when people complain that they have diarrhea or they throw up, like, yes, it's not pleasant, you know, but your body is doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting rid of it. So that's why, like, I tell all my clients, and I say it in my house whenever anybody doesn't feel well, I always say, you're healing. You're not sick, you're healing. Your body's doing what it needs to do, and it's doing it well, and it's functioning the right way. So it's all in how they make us, like the messages they tell us to tell ourselves too, you know?
The brain is such a powerful tool.
Yes.
Right, that if someone tells you you're ill, you make yourself feel like you're ill or a lot worse. You start attacking your own immune system. You start stressing and fear and all this sorts of stuff. I'll tell you another little story. This is a quick one. I was working away from home and we were all driving back, and it took about 6 hours to get home in the van. I was driving, all the lads were drinking beer, and I just couldn't wait to get home. We spent like 6-7 hours, 2 hours queuing on the M25, all that sort of stuff. Come home, open my fridge. There was a bag there of chicken raiders. And I went, yes, I've been away for a week. Didn't even think about it. Sitting at the computer like this, catching up, eating like that. Absolutely no problem at all. Until I got near the end and I looked in the bag, right? And the bottom 2 or 3 in there were like caterpillars. They were blue and furry. I'm sorry to start the show with that. But immediately, I didn't feel very well. Whereas before that moment,
you were okay.
I was fine, because I was just, do you know what I mean? And it was, and I that next hour, I was like this. It's okay. So I went and got a pizza and some beers and sort of drowned it down, really, in a week. But yeah, I'm just saying the mind is a powerful tool. When you've got doctors and stuff telling you you're, you know, potentially going to die and things like that, it's not nice, is it? So
no, and then you believe it. You know, the mind believes it. It's given that it goes through your whole system. You know, it's cutting those neural pathways and those belief systems. And for anybody who hasn't, I don't know if you've ever read anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's so amazing. His books are incredible. He's got like a great sense of humor in the way he presents things. But I recommend this to all my clients and anyone that will listen to me. You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Great read, amazing information. And it's basically, at its core, it's all about how the power of our consciousness and our mind, especially through meditation, when we quiet down and we're able to get into that state, anything is possible. Anything is possible to heal our bodies. And yeah, I tell everyone to read that. In fact, a little story. When I first met George, we both were talking about how one of our favorite books was You Are the Placebo. So it was like, oh, like, I didn't know he thought like that, you know, but it's a great book. It's on, you know, audio. Big shout out to Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he really helped. He helped empower me a lot through the last few years with what he's written and what he talks about.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I shall look at that book afterwards, and that is why, if I did ever get any diagnosis, I would come away with the mindset, I'm going to beat this shit.
Yeah.
Let's see how we get on. But I would rather do everything I could and pass it home than go and give in to that cut burn. Well, not so much the cut, right? Because if there's something they can just operate out of you, that's absolutely fine, right? But if they want the radiation route and all those, and all that, I wouldn't go.
But even the cut, you know, like you're invading the body. You're doing something that's quite barbaric. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying there aren't reasons when that has to happen, so I don't want to make a comment. But I'm just saying in general, there's probably alternatives that can be taken until that step. And a lot of times when you go to the doctor, that's like the first thing.
Have you obviously looked into all this stuff that we're hearing lots of information about this and people are talking about this, and I'm not a doctor and I don't know, but the fact that the big C is when you get this tumor around it, it is surrounding it to save the body.
Protecting by, right. And then they pierce it with a needle.
What they do is when they go in and do a biopsy, right, which is under the guise of we're going to sort you out, we're going to find out what this is, that breaks that sac and then allows it to come into the body. Now that is horrifying, isn't it? If that is what they're doing.
Yes. And I wonder, okay, this may sound really naive, but I wonder how many doctors really know that.
Well, you know,
I mean, I don't know that it's nefarious on the part of the individual doctor who's saying, right, rather than go through a major surgery, we'll just do a biopsy, we'll determine. But the ones above, right, they know that. They know that's all about.
I mean, Robert David Steele says, doesn't he? I can't say it enough times that 90% of the people in these intelligence agencies and stuff are good people doing a good job.
Trapped in a bad system.
Now, that is the same in whether it's in the education system or the hospitals and stuff like that. I could not imagine, right? Well, if that is the case, how many doctors are going to have a wake-up tablet themselves?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? This is why this awakening is taking so long, because there's going to be so many people affected with what they've done, you know, and how they've been lied to, and the connotations of the things they've done and carried out without their knowledge, especially of all these doctors and nurses, right? Everything comes down from something like the Rockefeller School of Medicine. Do you know what I mean? And it's all dictated. This is the protocols you follow, and it comes down and down and down. And when you get on this level, everyone's like, well, this is a standard protocol.
And then they realize, like, what is that to live with, to know that you did something you didn't know and you did it with the best of intention, and then you find out they shouldn't have been doing it that way for the betterment of that, you know, of the people you were caring for. That has to be an awful feeling.
Well, it's going to be, but
it's like parents. So many of us thought, well, if you vaccinate your kids, you're doing a good, right?
That was my next point. Exactly.
And then we're living with that. That doesn't go away. I mean, okay, I didn't do it for a bad reason, but
no, but that's part of the awakening.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. We've been lied to about everything for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So we've got to. I've said to people, and everyone should do this. Basically, if you want to wake up, just unlearn everything you've ever been taught and start again. Like, think about something you think you know, and then go and research it and find out whether you actually do know it or not. And there's probably a good chance that you don't.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think people in our community that have had their own awakenings, and like, that's a very exciting thing, you know, in a sense. Like, yeah, it's angering. We went through the anger and the sheer just being appalled by the system and how we've been lied to. But then it's exciting. Then it's kind of exciting because you go down all these rabbit holes, and it's like you're learning and educating yourself in a way that you may never have done, you know, and you're enlightening yourself. And as a result, you enlighten other people. And the more of that energy and wonderful positive vibration you're putting out with this knowledge, it helps everybody.
I mean, how much crying have we done being awake over like the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whoever, going down these rabbit holes and finding out things, sleepless nights, having wobbles, crying it's all over, trying to wake your friends and family up, and all these sorts of things. We have been through so much torture, and it's been a hard job. But now, nothing shocks me now.
Yeah,
I can look at things and go, like, man, I can't even look at that horrific. Do you know what I mean? You know, how people treat people, and, you know, But we're getting there, and it's all going to be all right. We just might have to go through some more shit first.
Yeah.
So anyway, there we go. We've chatted on for 20 minutes already. We haven't even really started yet. We just thought we'd do a new thing this week and just see how we get on. Elisa and I have got a little private Telegram group that we've just loaded some videos and other bits and pieces in there. There's no links in there and things, so we'll have to go and find Twitter links and stuff like that. It's all ready to go. So a bit of information next to it. So we're just going to play loads of videos today, have a little chat about each. We might go off and this way and that way and another tangent, but we'll just see how it goes, shall we?
Absolutely. And of course it's Thursday and the landscapers are here. So I'm going to mute as much as I can as, you know, when I'm not talking. So sorry about that, folks.
No, you're all right. Maybe you should change their day because we can't change our show.
No, we're not changing our show. No, absolutely not.
No. It's 10:30 in the morning now, isn't it? That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3:30 here. So it's nearly 4 o'clock. So yeah. Well, okay, I've just got some videos here and stuff. So John Fetterman, obviously, he's been one of the people we talked about a lot in this movie. He's like bits like Zelensky, isn't he? Really, because he turns up to Congress meetings and all stuff in a hoodie and some crappy old shorts and stuff like that. And he was, you know, one of the people we believed to be not the sharpest tool in the box per se, but certainly a Democrat on board. But he's certainly making the moves lately, turning around and. Well,
I'll tell you something funny, not to cut you off. A friend of mine's spouse went down to Washington and they were going to some business event and the speakers there were Martha Stewart and John Fetterman. And I had a laugh, you know, but I was like,
what was the event?
I'll find out. Something with business, you know, some kind of like business leadership nonsense kind of a thing.
Okay.
It was like, you know, business people. It wasn't like a political. He was the speaker and so was Martha Stewart. And I was laughing to myself because I was like, really? John Fetterman. That's kind of interesting.
All right. Well, let's watch this clip. This is 2 minutes, 17 seconds long. I am going to try and maybe I should just play this clip with I'm going to try and mute my mic every time. I have to do it manually, but it's like I do think it sounds better. There's no echo and stuff like that coming from my microphone. So
it was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, you know, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states in those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue this shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now. So for me, we're in the middle of this.
Senator, I got to ask you to hold up a.
So funny how they cut him off there, but he's they keep appearing on The View, don't they? Because MTG has been on there, and whatever he was saying about MTG there, they're all this kayfabe stuff going on at the moment is amazing, isn't it? And I think they're all playing for the same whiteout team, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so if we backtrack, first of all, go look at an old picture of Fetterman. That's the
I think I might have one below, but there's a new Fetterman out as well now. Obviously, that's a week or just over a week old, isn't it? Because the shutdown's over now.
Right. So, all right. So to your point that a lot of these people are working. Yes. And I think we also have to take a look at the fact that he raises questions that if you're a thinking person, even a Democrat who probably watches The View, because I don't know anybody that watches The View except from our side to take note and to see what's going on and how they're doing it, but not because they actually are looking for the content to change their lives. He says, he's talking about the election and how they lost. So if I'm a Democrat, shouldn't I be asking myself, what was the platform? What good came out of 4 years under the Biden show? Where were the prices? Where was gas? Where was all this stuff that is? So I think that they're saying things that hopefully, because someone has maybe more of an open mind listening to a Democrat, is going to maybe think about in a different way with a less defensive, Trump derangement syndrome happening in their minds when they're hearing this. And we see more and more of these people from the left that are coming on in these forums to present maybe a thoughtful way of looking at things. Think about the old way. It was just to insult, just to put down. Now it's like actually trying to get them to think, even if they're coming from that side. You know what I mean?
I think everything's being done to get them to think from each and every angle. And like we said many times before, they have to wake themselves up. Truth is learned, never told. Right? So everyone has to wake up themselves. But yeah, it's all good. So we've got a couple of Trump tweets in here. You posted that. Now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, and this is about a week old. So we've what's the date on that? I haven't got the date. But obviously things have escalated since. Not the Republicans to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all their other failures. I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement in the relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. Now, we've had lots of developments since then, obviously, and we can see the panic. But we had a vote, didn't we, for them to release the files, and it was 427 votes to 1. Right, and the only person that voted no was Clay Higgins, wasn't he? So we'll have to dig into that and find out what's going on. Where he was a staunch Republican, and there's obviously something to that. But 400, it's amazing, isn't it? How they've all, the Democrats are now, and all the people.
Well, so when I first posted this, right, because what we do is we take different news items and stories over the course of the week to our show on Thursday. So by the time Thursday comes, sometimes, other developments have happened that make that particular post or news item not be as, let's say, relevant. But what caught my eye when I first saw this was because, he capitalizes shutdown, right? Now, if we listen to some of the things, that Phil has said on his rapid fire, right? One of the things that was accomplished with that shutdown was that after 41 days, it gave Trump more executive power. So I think it's interesting. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of people better than me to decode these things, but shutdown, it's like he wants you to look at that. And and of course, like we always say, people are going to look at it from different levels, wherever your level of awakening is. So that's the first thing. What was really going on with this shutdown? But what's even more kind of in your face, if people are willing to look at this, he puts JP Morgan and Chase up there. And he's like, throws it in with all the rest. But we know there is so much going on behind the scenes with JP Morgan, Chase. And he doesn't, name the executives, but obviously Jamie Dimon, and what their involvement was with Epstein and the entire trafficking ring.
Exactly that. And just to add to your point, on Thursdays, because we try and discuss everything that's happened the week before, it's a really good show for people just to catch up, see what's going on, listen to us waffle off on tangents and spitball about things, and a bit of information there. But yeah, there's so much happening. There's a few more bits like that down the thread, but you posted this, didn't you? This is Robert David Steele. Just
yes.
This is a bit of an older video, obviously, but they're all current and they're all good with the learning curve.
Well, what I find interesting is that anybody who's ever followed or listened to Robert David Steele, he was one of the first people. I believe he was former Marine and CIA, right? So he was military and intelligence. And one of the interesting things is that he was one of the first people that came out with that very now famous video of where at the end says, "Make the deal, motherfucker, or you'll die." He also was very involved in, bringing to the forefront child trafficking and the business of adrenochrome, right? He's on many, many videos doing that.
Yeah, he used to, I can't think what it was called. It was like a board or something like that, but he used to chair it, and you had Dr. Robert O. Young on there, Sasha Stone, and a few others. Yeah, I can't remember what that was called now.
I can't either, and we'll look it up. But this is the point I was leading to. Have you noticed in the last week or two that his videos are popping up even more these days?
Yeah,
and now, right? And everyone that knew, of him or followed him, he apparently had a very untimely death, right? He died in a hospital. Supposedly he was given a shot, the shot, all this kind of stuff. And me personally, I'm not buying it one bit. This man was too valuable and had too much importance in the plan and too much knowledge and the work he was doing. So I tend to believe that he may be still working, and
I did see a tweet yesterday or the day before, and I can't remember the date of it, but it was from Cag Drogo, and he said, and I think he's a family member to RDS, and he basically said that anyone that thinks he's still alive, I'm sorry to inform you that he's not. And a few people underneath were going, "Oh, sorry to hear that," and all that sort of stuff. So I've written that on my list as something more to dig into. But whether he is here or not, RDS, RIP, etc. He's been a great part of this movement, and some really interesting information to send. Shall I play this because it's a bit of an older clip? But
definitely.
Okay.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated by CIA under Allen Dulles' instructions with the joyous cooperation of pedophile J. Edgar Hoover, founder of the FBI, and the approval of Lyndon Baines Johnson, the most crooked politician in history up until Hillary Clinton, with the active participation of the Bush family. George W. Bush Sr. was part of the deal, and Howard Hunt was part of the deal. Reince Priebus is the epitome of the rigged system. Reince Priebus and Paul Ryan and probably Mike Pence represent the rigged system. They represent the Bush family, they represent Dick Cheney, Bob Gates, all of these people who are the establishment. Bill Gates is sterilizing people all over the world, okay? Marco Rubio, is a closet gay. He's being blackmailed. John Kasich has his own. We don't need a National Security Council. A National Security Council is Dick Cheney's foothold in the White House. It's the neoconservative family, it's the Clinton family, it's the Bush family, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Vatican in the White House.
See that? I mean, that's even interesting hearing that, isn't it? Because Marco Rubio, even then when Trump appointed him, people going, oh, another bad pick. What's going on here? As if everyone knew. Marco Rubio is doing such a fantastic job at the moment, isn't he? So is that Marco Rubio? Is that a replacement? Has he been taken care of? All these sorts of things. But yeah, what he says there is just that the depth of this swamp is unfathomable, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the thing with Marco Rubio, sorry for the noise, he doesn't look the same. He's another one that doesn't look the same. And if you remember back, just everything goes back to the 2020 election, right? And everybody's part and who trying to think of the word, had allowed things to go through. I don't know why I can't think of the word. He was part of that. We have to remember that so many people in Congress were so compromised and so crooked. And if we go back to what Julian Assange says, right? He says 97% of when all is said and done, 97% of Congress is, is corrupt. So I think that it's
they wouldn't be there otherwise, would they? I mean, if that is the case, that you have to be compromised to be put in a position like that.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So my point is that you see a lot of these guys coming back, full circle. And again, is it, going to be for the exposure? Is it to simply know that a lot of these people had followings because people didn't really know what they were all about? So having them there gives people a sense of wanting to watch, wanting to, so if people are watching and they're tuned in, they're able to be awakened more, right? I mean, there's just so many levels to this. And
well, like you can't wake people up to chemtrails if there's no chemtrails in the sky. You can't wake people up to what people are doing if they're not in front of you on the TV and your cameras.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. This is quite interesting because there's a lot of talk, isn't there, about Trump is about to. Well, Texas have just done it. They've delegated the Muslim Brotherhood, a terrorist organisation, I think. Is it Greg Abbott, Texas, isn't it? And they've done that. And I think Trump's going to write an EO or an order or whatever. But the Muslim Brotherhood's plan to destroy America has been in action over 30 years. And we hear Obama was a big part of this and stuff. Let's have a listen to this.
Sure.
And we can not listen to your lawnmower for 4 minutes.
76 Muslims ran for office nationwide. 42 won. 3 races still pending. The 42 Muslim officials now occupy positions in some of the most influential jurisdictions in the country, from New York's mayor office to Virginia's executive branch, from Michigan's heartland to local school boards. The newly elected officials span at least 9 states: New York, Virginia, Michigan, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. The list includes 6 mayors, 4 state legislatures, 20 city councils and commissioners, 6 school board members, 2 judges, and 3 other political positions. You've seen me talking about the Muslim Brotherhood Plan for America and holding this document in my hand. They told us the plan, now we're watching it unfold in real time. This plan was written in 1991. We are 34 years into it. And as a refresher, here's a paragraph titled, Understanding the Role of the Muslim Brother in North America. Quote, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process. The brothers must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands. The last page lists 29 front Islamic organizations in the US, including the Muslim Student Association, which Mamdani was a member of, and IAP, which later became CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. These Islamic organizations are celebrating a stunning milestone, the most significant wave of Muslim political victories in American history, with 42 Muslims elected to office across the United States. You would be excited too to add 42 Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaib's Jew-hating, America-hating people to public office. CARE, the unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism financing trial in American history, is bragging about their successful political activism. CARE's federal super PAC, the Unity and Justice Fund, is the weaponized financial engine funding and winning U.S. elections. CARE is mobilizing Muslims and mosques as political launchpads to build campaign infrastructure. The result is a political machine operating from the pulpit to the ballot box. The 2025 elections shattered every record for Muslim representation in American politics, marking a historic leap into municipal and state power. CARE and its affiliates are preparing a 2026 directory of elected Muslim officials and expanding programs to mobilize more candidates before the 2026 midterms. The media calls this a historic first. Terror-linked CARE calls this phase one. And what is even more scary, they locked shields with the left, whom I call useful idiots, working together to destroy America and everything you and I stand for. This is why you need to be engaged now. We need you in this fight, especially as the anti-Semites and anti-America unite. Join me and actforamerica.org as we mobilize the nation. We need to fight to preserve America's values and freedom. Start a chapter, become a member, volunteer. We are organizing neighborhoods nationwide, bringing people together who are as concerned about the transformation of our country as we are. Time to commit that America will not be destroyed under our watch. If you don't have time to start a chapter or volunteer, donate $26 to our 2026 campaign, and we'll send you a copy of the Muslim Brotherhood Plan. Become a partner and help us fight 24/7 to save our country. Share this video. Go to actforamerica.org right now. Join us and donate. Together, we save America. Thank you.
Did that sound all right, your end? Because I didn't mute my mic there.
It was a little echoey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there was an echo to her speaking.
Yeah,
okay, so
that's my apologies. That is, I should do that every time now.
Okay, so here's the way from what everyone I've listened to. Of course, I do listen a lot to Phil too, among other people, but I think it's like everything else that we're seeing with this whole rollout of the plan, that everything that they want us to see are things that could have, would have, were part of the plan to happen. And I don't personally believe any of this is really happening. This idea that all these people were elected, well, let's just take New York, for example, right? And we've got Mamdani who's elected. And if you're awake and you're watching this, you're realizing that this is what people need to see, what was planned, right?
Yes.
And I think there's a video a little bit down where the New York Police Department are teaching people how to wear a jihad and how to put it on the right way. I mean, if you can't see through that's like when Biden was falling off the bike and falling up the steps, in my opinion. It's so obvious. And this is the only way that they were going to wake people up, to show what was planned 34 years ago, what they intended to do, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think I think it's a narrative at this point that they're trying to get people, because I don't really think it's what it is. If we believe that this is a military operation, this is only now to show people. It's not really happening.
You can't tell the people the truth. You must show them. And I think what's interesting about this is that more that we talk about things, the further we go down the list, we'll go, oh, we discussed that, we discussed that, we discussed that. So that might be right. I think we've got.
But if you could find that video, I think it's at the end. It is pretty freaking funny with her showing you how to put it on.
Yeah. Well, we go through them all anyway.
Oh, okay. If we're gonna go in order, yeah, because I was saying it's like it just illustrates it.
Yeah. So what's this? X may roll out a mandatory flag country requirement for all our accounts within 72 hours, and that was on the 16th. That's out of the 72 hours. But I did it. Nikita Bear is one of the top people. I've got another tweet from her, I think, one of the top people at Twitter. Give me 72 hours. But that would be the reason I put that in there is I think that would be interesting, really, to see how many accounts are posting that come from certain countries. Do you know what I mean? So the country beginning with I and, you know, things like that. So that's just something to look at. Bix Weir did a little bit. Do you want to listen to him about silver?
Oh, yeah, always.
All right. This is, I cut this off News Treason show, the clip they did. So I went and found it. But this is really interesting.
Obvious that I really do get surprised when people say, can you believe what happened? Wait till they click a mouse and put the price of silver at minus $40. Then again, on the flip side, they can click a mouse and put the price of silver at $1 million and destroy the system. And you might ask, well, why would the U.S., who controls this game, why would the U.S. want to destroy the system? Well, how about being the largest debtor on the planet by far? And that's who wins. And debt will be gone. So we're headed into, if you think it's crazy now, wait a couple weeks, couple months. Actually, I do have a date now that I'm pretty sure will be, it'll be one of the prime dates within, I think between now and July 4th, the 250th year anniversary. Trump has something planned. The good guys, as I call them, the Q folks, whatever you want to call them, have something planned to catapult the world forward. But in order to get there, a time we can celebrate, we're going to need about 6 months of pain and rejiggering and figuring something out, which I'll get to in a second. Now, today, I can only do a little bit on YouTube, and the rest can be on the private road because there's things I can't talk about, especially related to when they're going to pull that plug on the banking system. I do have my take, and it's all of a sudden became very, very clear. And those of you who have followed me long enough understand what I'm talking about. But I can't talk about it on YouTube because of the strike situation. And although I hear some people like Snippy got his channel back, a couple of people got their channels back. I love it. And I always thought they would, but we're still not at a point where we can talk about the real things that are going on behind the scenes. Anyway, yes. And by the way, there's no reason for gold and silver to trade identically unless they're on the same computer program. And when you look at these identical charts, you're like, well, of course they're on a computer program. They fall at the exact same time. They do the exact same thing. No, Bix, you don't understand. That's, because they're both monetary assets, they always go and say, it's bullshit. It is controlled 1,000%. There is no free trading. There are no free markets anymore, just manipulation.
Oh, you're muted. Muted.
Yeah, I'm glad I was muted, so it wasn't humming. But yeah, he's saying a few things there. Obviously, that all the prices are manipulated. July the 4th, we're going to see some stuff. We might have 6 months of shit on the way. But I believe it's all controlled by the White Hats now anyway, so they can push the prices up and down when they want to do this thing. But it's always good listening to Bix. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's an echo. Sorry. I don't know. Okay. Is that better? Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that, he's been talking about, Silver for so long, anybody who's been following him, and how, and, I love the fact that he mentioned that he can't really talk about a lot of this stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
It shows that we're still, I mean, like last week, you and I got flagged and taken down. And so, I think the discerning mind would have to say, okay, I think I need to pay more attention to this if it's being taken down, or it could be taken down, right?
Yeah, exactly that. So eyes on.
I would love it if we could somehow get Bix on our show.
That'd be amazing. He does go on a few shows. I've watched him on a few, so we'll see. And just for anyone that we're going to have Jason Q on now as a bit of a regular guest, starting tomorrow, Friday. That's 12:30 Eastern, 5:30 UK time. And potentially that's going to be a fortnightly thing, whereas Elisa and I will do our regular stuff, but Jason will come on and go in, just do a deeper dive on a Friday, because he looks into so much more stuff at a deeper level, which is going to be amazing. So,
and for those Americans watching, a fortnight is every 2 weeks.
Oh, do you not call it over there?
No, we don't.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
it sounds so nice, though. I love it. I love calling that particular show that we're going to do using fortnightly. I love that.
Well, we can do that if you like. I might even just Friday deeper dives or something. I don't have to put that in there fortnightly. People,
no, I love it. I love it.
No, but yeah, we'll see. Still waiting for a picture anyway to do a nice thumbnail of the three of us. But yeah, so I don't really need to go into this stuff. We'll just skip over a lot of this. But obviously, we're seeing a lot of kayfabe at the moment with Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these sorts of things. But subsequently from that, we've had the Epstein files vote. It's gone to Congress as well. It's gone through. I think it's got to go to Trump, or whether he signed it or not. And Pam Bondi's got the file. She's got 30 days to get them all out. I think they will be prepared for maybe another rug pull, people, right? And John Harold says, if you don't stand on the rug, it cannot be pulled out from underneath you. And I think I've got that tweet in here as well. But that's an old one I've got saved. But there's so much happening. And this really made me laugh. Now, this perfectly says, when you say to people, give it a day or two, see what happens, use the 48 to 72 hour rule, plus, right? I can't remember how long ago it was that Joe Biden administration hired 87,000 IRS agents. Remember that? That must be 2 years ago, mustn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, or longer. You don't have to mute yourself now. That's nice and quiet in the background now. His streamer's off or whatever. But yeah, this just really made me laugh. I've listened to you probably see this, but
crossing moments ago, IRS agents could soon be going on immigration raids. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem asking the Treasury Department to deputize their agents to help arrest and remove migrants from the United States. So far, no response on this plan from the Treasury.
So those 87,000 IRS agents that everyone was about could all of a sudden be ICE agents.
Yep.
Right? If you're a government employee, you do what you're told, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought that was amazing.
You know who was up in arms, I think, the most about that, quite honestly, because the normies just expect all this, even though they complain, was us, our community, like trying to understand what is that about. The IRS and income taxes is going away, and we have NASARA and all this stuff. So I think I think a lot of us assumed it was probably part of the show, but for those who didn't and were confused, look at that. And
exactly.
A shout out to Razor, because he's famous for saying how everybody jumps to conclusions, and it's pretty much the same thing that we're talking about. Give yourself, wait the 72 hours to see what transpires, or a little longer.
Well, this is 48 to 72 hours plus 2.5 years or something.
Exactly.
And you know, and it was just amazing. That's why, because of just what you were saying there, that it was another moment that we were confused. Okay, if the military is in control of this and we're going through the devolution operation and the Biden pause, why is that happening? There you go. That's why I laughed so hard when I saw that story.
Yeah.
Amazing. Brilliant. Yeah, this is from the SNAP benefits that everyone's learning about.
And 20 other, 20 plus others did not, and we're suing, we're in litigation right now. But of the 29 that complied, what we have found is staggering. 500,000 people getting benefits 2 times under the same name, 5,000 dead people. 80% of the able-bodied Americans, meaning they can work, they don't have small children at home, they're not taking care of an elderly parent, they can work and they choose not to work, of course, because they're getting significant benefits from the taxpayer. So this light, Laura, that has now been shined on what is perhaps one of the most corrupt, dysfunctional programs in American history, that we are working now for very big announcements coming next week on this. We are cracking down. We now have a plan to fix it. And we're really, really excited about doing that for the American people.
So this has been going on for many years. I mean, I think I covered this on the radio.
Didn't mute myself again there. You'll have to start going like that at me. But the American people, especially, which is what it's all about, and people around the world that are paying attention to America, are earning so much, aren't they? I mean, a lot of people in our country here haven't got a clue what's going on in America. They don't really know what's going on in this country either, because they're just not bothered. It's like, it doesn't affect me. I'm in my bubble, those sorts of things. But yeah, the American people are getting the lesson, aren't they, in what's been going on for generations.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to sound like a bleeding heart, but obviously there's a lot of people that honestly use that because they need to. They're in difficult situations, and what has happened is it's just been hijacked for God knows what, right? We know money laundering is everywhere, but just to and then what's really interesting, which is another trap, is that look at what you get for the discounts on, right? It's all the crap.
Yeah.
It's all the shit that's making people sick. So it truly is a way to just keep people sick and unable to move themselves out of that illness trap, but of course, wouldn't it be great if they were helping people to learn how to be healthy and giving them, deadlines on how long to do this, so it would incentivize them to want to work and be productive, right? Instead, they're incentivizing them to continue to, buy all this crap that they get discounts on. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. And again, I know there's probably, again, like everything else, there's honest people who are struggling, who need these things, and I think that will bear out. But they got to get rid of all the leeches.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's just rooting them out. It's just, it's a massive sting operation. That's another one, isn't it? I was staggered with how many videos I was seeing people post on TikTok and other places that were being put on Telegram and stuff. The fact that what these people were moaning about because they couldn't purchase for free. And it was absolute crap. So yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Upwards. Just want to play this video.
Oh, and Stu, interesting how that's all happening at the same time. Excuse me, as RFK is doing all the initiatives with the health. Like, right? There's no coincidences that all this happens at the same time.
Yeah, exactly that. And this bit I was just in, the Democrats begin screeching at each other on the House floor when members of their own party defected and voted to reopen the government. This should tell you what you need to know about the Democrats. And it's better when it's on the big screen, isn't it, when I open it, rather than a little bit to the side. Right, mute myself. It's just a little short video, but...
See if we can get that sound for everyone on the screeching.
You're still muted.
That's good. I don't mind that. I'd rather have me going like that than a hummy video. That's remarkable, isn't it, that the people are seeing this as well?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you know, I'm just trying to think who, you know, I think because I had my most recent video was with Phil, and that's sticking so much in my mind. But you know, he does say something really interesting, which is like when people say they heard from a friend who knows this one or knows that one, you know, and he's like, but did you see it? Did you see it with your own eyes? Like up close? Because what we're seeing, you know, on video is there's so much that they're able to do to make it look real. And they've gotten us to believe what we see with our eyes, but it's not really what many times what the case is. So if we look even at Congress and all these things going on, right? Is it really going on?
Well, that's funny that, because this has just come to me that Nino said that he spoke to Sean Ryan. Now, Sean Ryan is got a big podcast, hasn't he? I think he's the ex-military and stuff. But Nino said, and I think it was Sean Ryan, went to one of these Congress meetings, and Nino was going, no, then there's no actors there, there's no masks, all those people are there. Sean Ryan was telling me this. But then the other day, people are now saying, because Sean Ryan had the person on that was in charge of the security detail at the Charlie Kirk event, and the things they were saying, and I can't remember who was saying this, but one thing they said, oh, this was Michael JK. He said they were saying that the bullet went in there and went down Charlie's spine and disappeared into the body. And Michael JK saying that is an absolute nonsense. He's saying, I love Sean Ryan, but he said, what is going on there? Do you know what I mean? So you've got the head of security detail and Sean Ryan that apparently are talking nonsense, you know. And I heard that from Jaco. I haven't watched the whole thing. I haven't had enough time. I don't want to watch it now anyway when I hear things like that. I think, well, I'm not watching that.
Right. Yeah. It's just every which way. You know, that's why like the best thing we can all do is to just sit back, observe, take it all in, and really use common sense and discernment in what your gut is telling you. Because for me, and maybe I didn't witness, I didn't see in real time the Charlie Kirk assassination. So I wasn't watching it. I heard it. I think I must have saw a post somewhere, you know, on Telegram or something, like right shortly thereafter. But my gut told me no. I hadn't seen anything. So like, I'm not saying I'm a mind reader, but sometimes we intuitively know what we feel, you know, and then of course we do the research, we listen, we look, we make based on observation, that sort of thing. But I think more and more people are moving into that space, and it has to be honored. We have to know that there is an intuitive sense that we all have about what's right, what's wrong, what's happening, what's real, what's not real. And we have to start trusting that more and more.
Exactly. Maybe that's why this guy was put to go on with Sean Ryan, because people are going to be watching that if he's got such a massive podcast and going, no, that doesn't make sense, and then look into things themselves. That's a whole different audience, isn't it? Looking at stuff now, and we're constantly seeing that. Now, John Voight hasn't done a little bit thing. He was
a while. I think a long time, right?
Yeah. So let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
The mayor that has taken over New York City is a Muslim that's going to take down the city that never sleeps, the city of life's dreams, this city that our ancestors brought forth in prosperity and greatness and liberty. This city will turn into a forbidden place of darkness. The blood, sweat, and tears that the city of New York was built on will turn into a virtual refugee shelter for the radical Muslim ideology. This is now the most dangerous time for our citizens of New York. This mayor will destroy this city. We are obligated to demand our rights for our private sanctuary, our businesses, our property that we all have worked so hard for. And this 35-year-old mayor has no right dictating the rules of socialism for a city built on our highest principles with brick and stone by hardworking Americans. This must be stopped, and his mayoralty should be terminated immediately. You, the people of the greatest city, New York, are in danger of losing your city to this communist fool. We, the people, must stand for the greatest nation's purpose, the honor of our flag, the red, white, and blue, and for which it stands, one nation under God, and liberty and justice for all. This country, the United States of America, is the land of our greatest achievement, the American dream. And we, the people, have put our trust in the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. He and only he can stop this horror, as this Mayor Mamdani will try to destroy New York's wealth and turn it into a socialist crap city. Let this be a warning to the people, and may God bless. May God bless.
Now, I think he's a big part of this as well, because he's been with Trump and he did a lot of videos early on, didn't he, talking to the American people. But 100%, I don't know if you saw me going like that, he was reading off the script there, whether that was a teleprompter in front of him or something, but he was reading left to right there. You could see his eyes.
Yeah. Which, you know what, you can't even say that that's a problem, because you want to get everything right. So it's okay to read. It doesn't mean it's not sincere or he's not, but I think the correct word for New York at this point is shithole. Like, that probably is the word that should be used as far as where it's going. But here's the thing. I think that it's all part of what needs to be done to try to wake people up, and how many people will actually see that. But the real question is, how did he get on the ballot?
Yeah.
And part of the problem in our country, but New York in particular, in this particular conversation, say when they hear who's running, step back and say, who got this guy on the ballot? Like, I'm not voting. I'm not even going to participate. Let's boycott the election in protest, because we've got a bunch of knuckleheads and dangerous people running. Nobody stepped up to say Cuomo, or forget about Mamdani. That's a whole other conversation of communism and all that kind of stuff. Just look at Cuomo. Now, we don't know, like we've talked about, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. But on the surface, we can point to some very bad stuff that this guy did. And I'm not just talking about, because at the end of the day, if he was doing inappropriate things with women, that's awful. And those women, should do, but that doesn't really affect me. What affects me is when he puts people in nursing homes, and when there's all these mandates are put into place, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't hear anybody in my normie circles that were beyond appalled that he was running. They were just like the eye roll, like, yeah, look who's running, and we got a communist, we got like, what is wrong?
Yeah, but that just shows you the lack of engagement of the average Joe still, doesn't it? That the people are being pushed to get involved in all sorts of different ways. And that is one of them, by putting this communist socialist in there for election and being elected. You've got a meeting with Trump, don't you? So whether that's going to be a little televised affair, and that's going to be in the Oval Office, and the world's reporters are going to be there, and Trump's going to put in front and center like he does with everyone else.
It's very interesting. And I found it very interesting that one of the things Phil said this week, or whenever it was last week when he had his rapid fire, he said, somebody asked if he was, I forgot the word, if he was an actor. I think that's how they put it. Hopefully I got that right. And he said his response was, no, he's an example.
Yeah.
I thought that's very interesting language. And yeah.
Well, you were celebrating when you saw him got elected anyway.
Well, I was so excited because bring it on. Let's, something has to. And now that's why I think that video is so funny, which we will see, of the police department showing the right way to put is, if it's those things where we both said, like, if we were writing the script and we were putting this together, we'd look at each other and go, oh, come on, that's so obvious. We can't do that. And then they do these really obvious things, and it's still like, skid marks on the top of people's heads.
Yeah. Exactly that. Right, let's go on to the next clip. And you do make me laugh, by the way. The correct term is shithole. So, yeah. Right. This is
$1 trillion was stolen. 70% of that money went overseas. And I can give you some examples. In a Western state, they had more people applying for unemployment insurance benefits than they had individuals over 18. The people that were stealing the money from Romania were using it to facilitate other fraud schemes that include fentanyl, that include doing things to impact our democracy. On the insider threat, right, the first thing you have to say, and my dad was a public servant, is 99% of people that work in the public sector are honest, hardworking individuals. But there are some, and what you need is data and technology to root that out. There were examples during the pandemic. There were some examples even of last week where people got into the Medicaid system in a Western state and stole $50 million in less than 4 months. So you have to have these controls in place, right? These aren't individuals stealing, Mr. Cloud. These are organized criminal groups, both domestic and transnational.
1 trillion stole off the people in COVID and 70% went overseas. This is shocking.
I mean, it is. At this point, nothing is shocking to me, but it's just shows the criminality of everything.
Exactly. Just more and more comes out. Right, let's have a bit of laugh here. Okay. Trump, did you see it when he did this? Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Why you needed to get an MRI? I understand that the results were good, but what was it for?
Because it's part of my physical. Getting an MRI is very standard. Well, you think I shouldn't have it? Other people got it. I had an MRI. Here's what the story is. I had an MRI. The doctor said it was the best result he has ever seen as a doctor. That's it. But I had an MRI as part of my standard yearly, or I think they do it every 2 years, but I have the physical every year. And the result was outstanding. Did you know? I have no idea what they analyzed, but whatever they analyzed it well. And they said that I had as good a result as they've ever seen.
You can see he's having fun there, can't you? And the more sort of things we see like this playing out is the fact that we are getting closer to the end of this movie. One of my friends on Facebook said to me, I'm sure I've seen this clip before, but he was talking about the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan and stuff. And I responded, I said, go and source the clip and check what colour tie he's wearing, because he does loads of little things like that on Air Force One. And then I went, oh, don't worry, I've sourced it for you. And she said to me, oh, I'm paying attention, but not that much attention, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that was the first thing I noticed. I always look for his tie color. So he's talking about the MRI, right? And he's talking about health, basically. So it's like the golden era, you know, it's just it's all these things, but
do you remember everyone used to go on about the flags all the time, didn't they? Whether they had a gold fringe or no gold fringe and stuff like that.
How many and how they were and which position.
There's no gold fringe anymore and stuff like that. And then about 2 weeks later, they all had gold fringes on again. It's like, what? No, man. You know, but yeah, it's interesting. Now this is quite hard to listen to, really, but this is very interesting.
No way.
Whoa. Yes. It is one of the worst evils in the world, and it is happening all around the world at a massive scale, but it's also happening right here in the U.S. And right now, this year, somewhere between 300,000 to 1 million people will be trafficked in the U.S. And so many of those will be minors. And trafficking is a horrible, horrible evil. But also something that's really important to highlight is the exploitation
of the traffic.
No, the exploitation. So a lot of people bunch them together, but they're a little bit different. Trafficking is primarily done for profit. Exploitation is primarily done for pleasure. So exploitation is is done on the most of the time on the internet, and there'll be like peer-to-peer networks that someone download a peer-to-peer network, and they will share child rape videos, and they'll be part of groups that goes back and forth. And we just think this is happening, over there somewhere. But I pulled something just for you guys. Can y'all pull that up? You see that? Those red dots? This is New York State. That every red dot is a unique IP address that is downloading and sharing child images and videos. And that's just the last 30 days in the state of New York.
Jesus. Whoa. And is the FBI arresting these people?
Well, do you see the blue dots? Those are the ones that are being investigated.
So just investigation?
The blue dots are the ones that are being investigated.
But if you have a confirmed IP address that's sharing this type of content,
so it's a good conversation, and a lot of people will say, well, how are they not doing more? Our law enforcement, can areas get better? Of course, but our law enforcement is so undermanned. It does not have, many places does not have the best tech. They are undermanned. There is a few people that their job is this. It is not a lot. Like we have, we want to talk about all these things, and they can't, and defund them. Listen, when you defund them, you're not actually caring for these boys and girls. Mm-hmm. I think we need to escalate how many hires we have, especially in victim identification, to keep these boys and girls safe. It's one of our bills in Congress. Is the Renewed Hope Act, is so that we would hire more victim identification specialists to be able to identify these boys and girls, so that we can knock on that door and go safeguard that child.
Why do you think that this is not unanimously supported or even spoken about? Like, it seems
we've been speaking a lot about it.
Of course you guys have, but like,
why is it not amplified?
Yeah, like
I think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Well, we wrote our bill specifically in a way for right or left, because for us, it's not about politics. It's about people, especially people that are suffering. Yeah. And this is trafficking, except this is just trafficking down the hall.
Yeah.
The number one offender in this, biological fathers.
No way.
Whoa. Yes.
Do you think people aren't doing more about this because we feel, oh, this is a problem over there?
I think that is a big part of it. Yes. I feel like we think it's just over there. And
over there meaning overseas.
Overseas. We think it's taken. Liam Neeson. We think it's all of these other things when it's not. We have so many issues that are taking place right here in our country. And I could keep going off list. We're the number one buyer for boys and girls around the world. America is.
Meaning like videos of it?
Yes, we pay for the rape of boys and girls in the Philippines, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Thailand. Like, we're the number one buyer. In peer-to-peer sharing of this information, we're third worst in the world. China, Russia, US, and Italy's fourth. Like, this is one of the worst evils in the world. And people think, well, we're not doing that. Yes, we
do really think that.
I know we do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, our hearts is to get this, message out, to be able to make change and then support our law enforcement and task forces that are working on this. Because there are some freaking heroes that are fighting this every single day, but they do not have as good of technology most of the time as those with the goal to do evil. They just don't. And they're also, do you know how hard it is for these law enforcement officers when you wake up every day and you watch a video of an infant, of an 18-month-old, a 9-month-old, when you watch, and that's one of the number one burnout rates for law enforcement.
I mean, I can't imagine
when you do that. Yeah, and I think it's something around 3 years for them. But you take a year to be trained up, and now you're burnt out. Now you got to bring someone else on, and it's like, how do we have the manpower to do that?
I mean,
people don't understand, do they? The severity of this. You're muted, by the way.
Well, it's like he said, which I thought was a really good distinction between the profit versus the exploitation, right? Because one is a business and one is just, at the end of the day, it's all sick. So let's just get that clear. But my point is that this stuff can go under the radar. When you have these big networks, right? That's with the military, and they came in and they're cleaning up the tunnels and they're doing this and they're killing the business of adrenochrome and all of that, right? That's one aspect. But when you have things like he said down the hallway. Now, who is that gentleman that was talking?
I don't know. That was from Vincent Kennedy, and he didn't add any links. I can look into that.
Yeah, we should, because that's a guy we want to give a lot of platform to.
Yeah, definitely. He looks like a very passionate guy. I would have,
and I would love to get him, or someone in his team or people that work to come for the Awakening Summit in New York in April. Which, by the way, I'm going to give a pre-shout out to everyone that mark your calendars, April 25th and 26th here in New York. It's going to be on Long Island. We are going to have the Awakening Summit, and we're going to have some pretty killer speakers coming in on all topics, having to do with geopolitics, spirituality, some financial aspects of what's happening right now in the world, and of course, speaking to the issue of child trafficking and exploitation. We'll be announcing who our speakers are pretty shortly, but Stu and I are going to be your MCs. So April 26th, 2026. Anyway, he would be a wonderful person.
Yes, I shall certainly dig into that. Right, this is quite a fun little video.
Okay. I don't think you shared screen. Did you share screen? Because I'm not seeing anything. Okay.
I wasn't sharing the screen there. I will do now.
Okay.
Trump is cooked. The Democrats just released some emails, and I don't know what to say. It implicates him in a massive way with this Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Basically, this victim, they blurted out the victim's name for privacy, but basically it alleges that one of the victims spent several hours with Trump. And but wait, why would they redact the name? Because surely if we knew the name, we could ask this person more details, right? Oh wait, we do know the name, because her name was already released in these documents years ago, and that same woman, who is Virginia Giuffre, I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but she exonerated Trump already in 2016 in a deposition. She also wrote a memoir that cleared Trump in any way. Here's her exact quote in the deposition. Literally, you can pause to read the screen, but here are the two emails side by side. Here is what was redacted. Virginia. In the Democrats' release, it's victim, but in the original, it's Virginia. Now, why would they not want that included? Oh yeah, because they knew it would clear Trump's name. So the Democrats released these knowing that there was nothing to them, but they just had to get something out because they have had such a horrible week in the news cycle. And for everyone saying, why don't they release all the files? This is really sus that Trump doesn't want the files released. First of all, do you think if the Democrats actually had something very incriminating in these Epstein files, that they wouldn't have done it in 2020 after Joe Biden entered the White House with a Democrat White House, a Democrat House, and a Democrat Senate? They had the tiebreaker in the Senate because of Kamala Harris. Trust me, we would have seen it all years ago. But bringing it to today, November 12th, 2025, Tim Burchett just tried to bring a vote on it, and the Democrats blocked it. Let's watch this video real quick.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett just left the House floor, and I tried to do a UC unanimous consent of tried to get the Epstein files, get it straight to the floor, just to cut out all this nonsense, and and the Democrats blocked it, oddly enough. Now here they've had it for 4 years, and they obviously if there's something there about Trump, they would have released it, and now they're all no, let's get it out, let's get it out. Well, I just made a motion to bring it straight to the dadgum floor, and they blocked it.
So I'm going to make an entirely different video about how conservatives need to stop blackpilling over every time the news cycle doesn't go their way, or after every time Trump says something or doesn't say something. but I could rattle for 10 minutes about that. But in this video, I'm just exposing another hoax that the Democrats have pushed. And next time to the Democrats and the left, if you're gonna run another Trump hoax, at least make it a little harder to debunk on us, because when we just have to like unredact one name, it really makes it a little too easy on us.
Exposure operation. Who do you think was in control of that? The Democrats actually did it? Trump steering them in a certain direction?
Yeah, 100%. But I love that video, because I love how he starts off. I was watching it at first and I was like, where is this going? And then it's like, bam.
Yeah, exactly. See, 48 to 72 hour rule comes in again, and loads of people are blackpilling. And this is, I can't agree with her math here for some of it, but this goes along the lines of that last video we saw here with this guy. I think this is...
If the Epstein files dropped tomorrow, it would change nothing. Americans have convinced themselves that their red line is children being harmed on an island in the middle of nowhere. Want to know how I know that's a lie? Because nearly 500 million kids live in a war-torn country right now, starving, displaced, and orphaned. And Americans do not care. War is the biggest pipeline for human trafficking for the elites. Just look at Gaza. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives. What do you think is going to happen to the kids who lost both of their parents? Even more people have gone missing. Where do you think these kids are going to end up? Do you even care? Have you even considered it? Has it even been a thought in your mind? The answer is no for most Americans, and their rage is entirely inconsistent. The same conservative Christians screaming about being pro-life staunchly defend, fund, and condone a genocide. You're going to try to convince me that you care about a baby in the womb, but not when it's a child's lifeless body being pulled from rubble? Spare me. Now let's look at our own country. 18 million children go starving every single day and/or are sleeping on the streets. Where's your outrage about that? Or the hundreds of thousands of kids who go missing every single year? Where's the government shutdown, the wall-to-wall coverage, the congressional panic? You see, the reality is most Americans nowadays only care about their own children. They just need to act as if they care, but only when the system tells them when and where to look. Now, you don't find it a bit strange that the government, so the same people who are involved in trafficking our children, are now spending a lot of their time discussing these files? That doesn't seem a bit manufactured to you? Their system is flawless. Keep Americans numb through endless work, Hollywood, sports, social media, video games, gambling, and porn. Show us nothing good on the news, just death, destruction, and fear, and it's completely desensitized a majority of the population. They keep the left and the right fighting with one another, so you never look up to the ones participating and profiting in the global exploitation of our children. Here's the truth. It's not just one island. It's not only Epstein, and it's not just one political party. It's the entire machine. You cannot be on TV or in politics in any capacity unless they have dirt on you. They are all in the same clubs. They attend the same parties, answer to the same donors, and protect the same secrets. Everybody on both sides is in the files.
Yeah, she makes some very good points there, doesn't she? And the one that caught my eye was the fact that people are so desensitized. The fact that there's so much stuff going on is the point of that is to re-energize people so that they do get mad and get involved, you know, in this situation.
Well, they have to be aware before they can get mad, right? I mean, most people have no clue. And if they get a little inkling, like she just said, they numb themselves out. Because generally speaking, when you hear something like that, it's very hard to listen to. And immediately, because we've been brainwashed to think we're helpless, people feel like there's nothing they can do, right? So I think that we need as the new media, we need to just keep driving home and, nonstop talking about what's really happening to the children. And like I said, there's different tiers to this whole exploitation, right? There's the exploitation. I mean, if you go through all of it, it's from abortion to, people, kids that are molested locally, if you will, by people they know or within that kind of network, and then all the way to that very industrial, the way it's like a business, with the transport and exploitation of children. But no matter what, it all does come back to the kids. And most people are just not aware enough to be outraged. And that's, I think, where we come in. And I think, Donna Ferrara, whose brainchild this Awakening Summit has been, that is her driving force. At the end of the day, there's corruption. At the end of the day, there's things we need to be aware of and we need to know, and we need to protect ourselves and our family. But we also need to start to understand what's really going on with the kids and has been going on, so that we could get in that fight in whatever way that means.
Exactly that. Just keep talking about it. Keep making people aware. But people need to, I myself keep saying it, people need to get involved and stand up. Child trafficking, I don't believe that happens. If people with that attitude are never going to get involved, are they? So, let's have a bit of a laugh. Now, I've seen a few videos like this lately. Now, I think these are hilarious, because we've seen so much AI at the moment, and I've got a couple more videos down the thread, I think. But if people are really doing this, I think this is hilarious, because there is so many people out there stealing parcels now on Amazon packages off people's doorsteps, isn't there? You see videos all the time.
Yeah.
People are setting up booby traps for them, right? It's your own fault. You are a thief. You are a lowlife. And a lot of these people just look like sort of bums anyway. But yeah, watch this. I don't know if you've seen these.
Yeah.
This is not funny. You trap packages. I am reporting you to the HOA right now. You are getting fined, and I will press charges if this stained my car. Look at me. I am covered in blue dye because of you. Hey, drop it. Ow, that's my package.
Go. I'm going.
Get off my porch.
We're leaving.
Just a quick grab. Nobody's home. What the? Ow! Oh, my eyes! Oh, God, it burns. Oh, who does that? You can't just... I'll sue you. Oh, my...
All right, hurry up. Grab it. Good. Almost there.
Whoa. Come on. It's all over me.
Classic.
I love it.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
You know what? I can't believe they have the nerve to be angry.
I know that.
You're committing a crime. You're stealing and you're pissed off. Are you kidding me? What chutzpah?
Well, it's I can't see many conservatives doing that. God-fearing people stealing things off people, right?
They have a job. They're working. That's why they're not doing it.
Right. So this is not factual, but I would suggest they come from the other side, which is why they've got this, I'm the victim. I was stealing from you. I've got a load of ink in my face.
And I'm going to sue you.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that, because I've got a couple more down the bottom as well that I saw.
Hey, did you hear that again, Phil? He mentioned, somebody asked about Kash Patel and whether or not he thought Trump was going to endorse him for president in the 2028 election. Did you remember hearing that?
Was that his rapid fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of had it on and I was doing other things. So you paid more attention to that than I did.
Yeah.
I have that Phil clip set up about people keep asking me about chemtrails. Yeah, that's all ready to go a bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I thought that I thought that was interesting. That's it. Just interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a cash clip here. I'm just going to go to the toilet while I play this.
Few other issues before you go. And of course, we always talk about the last 10 years of conspiracy against President Trump. And it started with the Russia collusion onto the indictments and the impeachments. And of course, January 6th. Do you have any news for us on January 6th in your investigation?
I think you'll see something on that front very soon. As you know, we can't reveal our ongoing investigations. And as it goes for things like Russiagate, Maria, again, maybe no one better than you has covered it. And look, I lived it. I was weaponized as a victim against a weaponization, politicization of law enforcement, including at the FBI by former senior leadership there. And I was the one that ran and uncovered the Russiagate hoax and conspiracy back on my House Intel days. I can't talk about ongoing investigations, but I think you've seen reporting in the media and reflections as to what's going on. We will not allow anyone who participated in the Russiagate conspiracy or those who improperly and illegally, in my opinion, spied on me, members of Congress, and even members of the media for a political end state to be left unturned. These are investigations that are of important consequence to the American public. Deputy Director Bongino and I have lived through it with you and everyone else. And we don't ask you to trust us, but look at the work we've put in under President Trump's leadership. We are going after every single person, from drug traffickers to those who create precursors, to those, most importantly, who weaponize our system of law enforcement. You've already seen indictments of people like former Director James Comey and others, and we're not done.
Well, by the way, Comey is asking for all of the charges to be dropped right now, as you know. So the audience wants to know if we're ever going to see accountability, Director. And I know that there's a limited amount you can say about this with regard to what happens next. There was a criminal referral for John Brennan. Do you believe we will see accountability?
Yes, 100%. We are delivering this accountability. But I'd just like to remind the audience, and I think you know this better than anyone, they built this weaponization scheme over the course of a decade plus. In these first 8 months that we've been there, we've already charged individuals, thanks to this great Department of Justice, who are at the pinnacle of this weaponization of government. We've already turned over, by the way, Maria, James Comey turned over 3,000 documents to Congress for oversight. Christopher Wray turned over 13,000. This FBI, under our leadership, has turned over 38,000 pages of information to Congress for congressional oversight purposes, which is wed to accountability, which is wed to the referrals that they send us back that we activate at the FBI. Every single letter they send us that has a substantive referral is opened by this FBI.
Director, just to clarify, how many Americans were arrested regarding January 6th? I know many people spent jail time as a result of January 6th, and you've been doing a deep dive investigation into this. There's a lot of speculation online. We want to know who planted the pipe bomb. Is there anything you can tell us there? And how many people were arrested on January 6th?
Too many, far too many, far too baselessly, as a result of a weaponization of justice and a politicization of targeting President Trump's supporters. It was unlawful and improper, and we've been working like we have with the Deputy Director to unearth that. And as it relates to major investigations of public importance like the pipe bomber, again, I say, stay tuned. We reviewed every single investigation of public consequence, reopened them, reevaluated them, because we feel it cannot go untouched. We are not going to let these things lay by and allow the fake news media to run roughshod over us. Our indictments speak powerfully in court. If you don't believe us, just look at the response that the Eastern District of Virginia under Lindsey Halligan did to James Comey, and look at the notes and publication of evidence. That's the type of material we have, but we have to safeguard our prosecutions, because the ultimate accountability is with the verdict in a jury room.
Understood. Director, good to have you this morning. Thanks so much.
A lot of discussion coming out, isn't there? That the pipe bomber could have been Capitol Police or something like that. A lot of people are discussing and talking about.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to see a lot of justice with this. I think the problem is that people wanted to see it sooner, understandably so, but I think there's so many tentacles to all this that they have to make sure everything is in place the right way so that they can actually have a real prosecution, you know. And we don't know, you know, maybe some of the, like, we don't know, because a lot of this is playing out. Some of it's playing out what already happened. Some of it's actually still happening. So there's so many different levels. But I do get so impressed with Cash and how articulate he is, and so on point, you know.
Well, you know, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because everyone was going cashes are wrong and now and bondies are wrong and well, all these certain people were. Whereas a lot of us that trust,
Yeah.
I think, can see the, you know, if those Epstein files had come out a while ago, it wouldn't have had the same effect as they're coming out now, when every Democrat and every person with TDS and everyone wants to see them now, whereas they didn't 3 or 4 months ago, did they? But now they do. Anyway, you were talking about Fetterman earlier. This is, you know, I think that's the latest one that come out. Is this the same man, people?
Yeah, really.
You know, we haven't got to go into that, but you just have to look at these characters they keep putting in front of us. It's crazy stuff. Breaking Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just asked the United Nations to intervene and stop ICE. I mean, what are the people? Where is? Oh, he's Chicago.
What'd you say? I'm sorry. We're the people of Chicago.
Yeah, well, no, I've just seen where he was. He's Chicago, isn't he? Which is heavily Democratic run. Has Trump been in there yet with the National Guard?
In Chicago?
Yeah, I think he has actually.
I think so.
Haven't they? But yeah, a US mayor begging foreign bureaucrats to block federal immigration enforcement, and I see that as a beautiful thing, because the American people, the people who live in Chicago, are going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Well, you know, the problem is also, like, Chicago is very similar to New York, you know, with the sense of, well, corruption, obviously, but just that sense of where are the people, you know, and as you said, you know, and you said it a few times in the last few days, it's like this apathy. And
apathy is only something you can deal with yourself, which is why the truth is learned, never told, which is why you've got to have your heart break, which is why you've got to come to this conclusion that the people you trusted were lying to you. And this is it. This was a headline we've seen in the Telegraph, in this country particularly, but a government withholding data that may link COVID jab to excess deaths. Now, this has just come out. The UK HSA argued that releasing figures would lead to distress or anger or bereaved relatives if connection were discovered. This is all in, you know, the national. It's the Telegraph worldwide, but it's in the national newspapers here. And then Ed Dowd,
I do wonder about.
Came on with I've forgotten his name. Now you can probably tell me, but this is all this information is coming out.
I do wonder about multi-generational damage. I wonder how equipped the general population seem to be to cope with what you say is big trouble coming.
Well, unfortunately, the work I did on the COVID mRNA vaccines suggests to us there's ongoing damage, even though booster uptake is quite low. Disabilities in the U.S. continue to rise. We don't have any data because of the government shutdown, but they hit an all-time high in August. It came down a bit in September, but when you and I were talking, last year it was 4 million. Now it's 6 million disabled in the U.S. Additionally, above the prior, baseline 30 million. So we have 36 million people in the U.S. disabled. That's going on in the UK. We did studies on your PIP system. That continues, and there's stories all the time in the UK about the crisis in the disability system and how the payments out are exploding. So we have a sick and getting sicker population that has been damaged by the vaccine. So it's kind of a softening of the population, whether it was intentional or not. I'll leave that for your audience and others to decide. But there is a big problem, and people and when you become sick and injured, you become inwardly focused, and your whole family, and then that distracts family members. That they can't focus on what they need to. They have to take care of you. So this is going on in the U.S. and Europe and the UK.
I have a question though. Like,
good.
How do they know that all the stuff that's happening is because of the COVID vaccine?
No. Well, I don't exactly.
But that's what the narrative is being built around, because, you know, like in a movie, and I'm not saying that these men that are talking about this don't know what was supposedly in that vaccine that would result in these things. But here's the thing. I have never heard in such depth and so much, information that's out there on a lot of these, podcasts and shows and interviews. Have you heard this much discussion about the flu shot? Have you heard, like, again, purely visceral, the way I feel? I just don't think we were damaged well before this.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you, but maybe it is the COVID vaccine and that whole period that is getting people to do their research and wake up
totally.
to all the damage they've done before.
Totally. And I think this is again, it's the right narrative to wake people up, because there was so much focus on COVID and so much, dissension between, people that said, let's take it, people who didn't say, let's take it. But I think if they were to really talk about how damaged we all are and have been by things we did prior to COVID, I think that's one of the things that would put people in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because mentally, and then when we think about what we did to our children.
All part of the wake up, isn't it?
But anyway. For no reason, to no way do I believe this is, we were damaged well before.
Yeah. So you and I both say that we hope, manifest and pray that 80-90% of these things that were being put out were, placebos and stuff like that. So how many people were damaged or not? But it's the more scare and stuff that's pushed out like this, the more people. Well, he said, didn't he, that the booster uptake is really, really low. Ed Dowd just said that. So more people are saying, I'm not having any more, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And at the same time, the people that are still 100%, the elderly generation that, they watch their TV all day and they do these things, they're still getting their jab, right, which may be saline, to keep them, pacified or happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they would freak out if they couldn't get them. They think that they're doing something good. It'd be somebody who has the capability to do this, like medically trained person. It will be very interesting to see in the next 5 years what the rate of autism is, newly diagnosed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, of course,
because if things are really behind the scenes safe, then that means these children are being protected and safe. So the key will be, we had this upswing, right, through the years as the more vaccines in the program that they had to get, and it's going up and up, right? But now it'll be very interesting to see if there's a huge drop.
Yeah.
Which
definitely.
I pray that's the case, but that'll be a very interesting thing to study.
Exactly that. Yeah. Eyes on. Well, John Solomon is doing a lot of stuff, and he's putting out so much information on the mainstream.
Those Democrats. And this time around, lots of news, particularly on the Jeffrey Epstein front. Yep. Congress has released a whole bunch more of emails. The Democrats tried to make hay, but it hasn't stuck to Donald Trump. You know where it's sticking? The Democrats. And today the story really significantly boomeranged around. Why is that? First, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer accused Democrat Jamie Raskin of working with prison officials to leak confidential communications from his client. Those prison officials apparently have been disciplined, but that is only the beginning of it. Just a few moments ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that she is naming the acting U.S. attorney in New York City Jay Clayton to investigate Democrats' relationships with Jeffrey Epstein and whether any of them rose to the level of criminality. Why? Because so many of the emails today didn't involve Donald Trump or Republicans. That's right. It involved all those Democrats. And this time around, the idea that Democrats would project on Republicans ain't going to cut it. This Justice Department is going to go full bore into that. That is a big, big decision in the weaponization era. And it's another of many signs that I think Pam Bondi is moving towards approving the notion that there was a grand conspiracy against Donald Trump and his followers and conservatives, and it needs to be treated as such, just like the mob was involved in a grand conspiracy or drug cartels were involved in a grand conspiracy. It looks like the Justice Department is moving closer and closer to that. Now,
the boomerang's incoming. Now I put that, speed that up to 1.2. That was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fine.
Good. I'm going to keep them on 1.2 now, so we get through this a bit quicker. But yeah, boomerangs, 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 investigations, public disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, now, I've just got one post here from Patriot Underground, who hopefully may be coming on our show. News to follow. So I'm just going to read this because this is... he made a post the other day, really good. You're kidding yourself if you think the operation isn't going exactly accordingly to plan. Remember what you learn about the art of war. Appear weak when you are strong, appear divided when you are unified. Make a sound in the east and then strike in the west. Confusion and manufactured division are necessary to camouflage where the next moves are coming from. Nobody has successfully predicted the way this operation would play out, and that is exactly why it has been so successful. This is fifth generation warfare, the art of misdirection. Don't get drawn into the movie. Instead, recognize that nothing is as it seems. It had to be this way, and the war is not over yet. Clean up of the lower tier of the cabal while simultaneously breaking down the matrix by forcing people to talk about the subjects that actually matter are the hardest parts of the operation, which is why the fog of war is thickening. The white hats are forcing the spotlight to exactly where it needs to be in order to manipulate the minds of the target audience on both the left and the right. It's vital to recognize that the false political paradigm of the Democrat versus Republican is eroding in the process. As all of this continues to play out, the people are focusing less on partisan politics and more on the core issues that have both weaponized the system against the people and prevented our elected officials from actually representing us, not special interests. That's what unity looks like, folks, even if it has the appearance of division. Don't worry about Trump playing golf with Lindsey Graham, disavowing MTG, or the optics of his pro-Israel administration. Rather ask yourself, if Trump were really on the side of the Zionists and neocons, if he were truly aligned with the deep state, would we really be having an Israel first versus America first battle within the MAGA movement, and even more broadly across the political spectrum? Wouldn't that power be used to shift attention away from the one subject that we have never been able to have an honest conversation about? And even though we are seeing the optics of an attempt to censor, isn't it rather obvious that the voices grow louder as time goes on? Wouldn't the Epstein issue be memory hold by now? And yet so many people are bewildered by how Trump is operating. Here's what they fail to grasp. From the moment he descended the escalator, Trump has characterized as one of the most divisive figures in the history by the MSN, and in accordance with the principles of Sun Tzu. The White Hats have used that to their advantage. This is why he positions himself on the wrong side of an issue, to draw those who perceive him as the enemy to the right side without them even realizing how they're being manipulated. This is all tactical maneuvering. It's not about taking sides or getting caught up in perceived loyalties. All of that is just optics to advance the true objectives of the mission. First, you engineer the division on an issue to highlight the problem. Then you expose the truth and win the hearts and minds of the people. All of this is playing out with military precision. Meanwhile, the RICO grand conspiracy is gradually coming into the light with every passing day. The military is deploying and the indictments have already begun. We are winning. The boomerangs will return, no matter how convoluted the chessboard may seem. All of this was planned long ago. That's what Q told us. The deeper we go, the more unrealistic it all becomes. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Choosing to know means trusting the plan. It's that simple. The white hats have this all mapped out, and the hammer will drop at exactly the right time, not a second before. Disclosure and accountability are coming, but not in accordance with our timeline or expectations. In the meantime, take a breath and allow yourselves to rise above the noise. Don't focus on the optics. Focus on the subjects that aren't going away. Israel, Epstein, and the demand for justice. Nothing can stop what was coming. And I don't know if you just saw me glance at my screen at the end of that, checking I wasn't muted, and you were going, yeah.
That's so beautifully. I mean, here's props to, he put it so beautifully, right? And I especially love where he was saying at the end, you know, don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in what side he's on, who he's to. It's all strategy. It's all strategy.
It is all strategy. Yeah, no, I'm just skipping through a few of these because I don't think they're all necessary for us to go through. But this is that post. I said, people doubt Q, but nobody doubts the Great Awakening. Did Q laughers just get lucky again? This is just another clip of Robert David Steele, but this is the post from Kag Drogo, right, which is worth looking into more. I've got it on it. All the anti-Trump people posting viral clips of my cousin, Robert David Steele, Viva, speaking out against Israel, need to reconcile the fact that Robert, hold up, let me just get this on it. Robert was an unshakable Trump and Q supporter because he understood irregular warfare. Oh no, that's actually a different one. Oh, my apologies for that. There's Phil there.
There's Phil.
Right, let's play this thing.
And I believe that QAnon is the single greatest information operation in the history of humanity. And now I'm talking to, I'd say, easily a dozen people who are themselves associated in some way with QAnon.
Do you have an idea of how many are involved?
I keep hearing the number 5 as the actual number of people that are writing.
You went on a YouTube channel in February 2017.
We have pedophilia, which is child sex abuse. Then we have torturing children to create adrenochrome, forcing fetuses to be delivered and eaten on site as part of the ritual.
Is it coincidence that a year later, when QAnon came out and was all about those things?
Q is an elaborately constructed operation that's been planned for years that is clearly achieving extraordinary impact. And I certainly take no credit for QAnon focusing on this stuff.
We're in DC speaking with Robert David Steele, a former CIA operative who champions many of the baseless conspiracy theories that Q is based on.
So for the record then, have you at any point had any involvement in QAnon?
No.
Anyway,
No, I am not one of the QAnon people.
I don't know. It's just, I feel like so many things you really were in front of.
Q.
I don't.
Is that what you were worried about?
I'm not worried about anything.
So how would you go about finding the real Q?
I don't think it's worth doing. I think what you should be focusing on is not Q. You should be focusing on the Great Awakening.
And what's the distinction there?
The Great Awakening is in the heart and soul of the public.
What is the Great Awakening?
I think the Great Awakening is people are starting to realize that if they don't pay attention and govern themselves, they will become slaves.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better than that.
Yeah.
He's,
Regardless of what's said, and of course it is all part of the military operation, my heart and soul hopes that he's still with us because his knowledge, his experience, his passion is something we need on our side.
Yeah. One of our heroes, isn't it? He watched lots of his stuff. So the UN Security Council adopts a US-led resolution to establish an international stabilization force in Gaza. This is all big news coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Trump doing more tweeting, I think.
True thing, no? Is that a tweet or a true?
No, that's a Truth Social, actually. Yeah, so he's just, talking about that. People can just screenshot that.
Mm-hmm.
Trump to be chairman of the Board of Peace. Interesting. Right,
yes,
now,
very.
newly released documents reviewed by the Washington Post appear to indicate that during the 2019 hearing where Michael Cohen testified, Jeffrey Epstein was testing. Yes, now have you seen this clip, right, of Stacey Plaskett? This is, right, why is this not the biggest story on the planet? I don't know. Was that bioclandestine? Yeah. new docs show that Democrat reps were texting with Epstein while interviewing Cohen. Just watch this clip of Stacey Plaskett.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
You got to quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is the Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
So you've got Stacey Plaskett, Democrat, in a hearing there, texting forward and back with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. A lot of people have said you're going to get rug pull, you're going to get nothing from these new Epstein documents. But it's funny the timing of all this stuff in it, and the phrase "we have it all" just makes you feel cozy and warm inside. That this stuff is dripping out every day, isn't it? All day long, we're seeing new bits.
That's what frustrates me with people on our side, because if they have it all, then you have to just watch this play out.
I have watched so many people blackpill this last year.
Yeah.
And I'm also watching those people coming around and paying attention and being a lot less vocal than they were, because silence is golden, and you know they are paying more attention to this. And I really do hope people that are, the people who Q-tiles trust the plan and all that, are secretly looking at the Q drops and all those.
You might be right. You might be right, because if there's a couple of things I always go, obviously we all get moments where we get tired or we're just waiting, but there are certain things I always go back to as far as who's really in control. It's, we have it all, and the NSA takeover, and just the mere fact that there were so many executive orders that were, renewed during the Biden show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm loving it. And this is quite interesting because I posted this. What have Elisa and I been discussing on our Patriots Across the Pond show? I was on, they all connect back to the Kennedys. And this is what Chuck Looney was talking about, wasn't it? How many of these people are all these people we used to love, and now we don't like very much. But we think,
if you watch, and if you watch the rapid fire, and somebody asked if Tom Hanks was good, and Phil said he wouldn't use the word good and Tom Hanks in the same sentence. So I'm not sure how I feel yet, because there's not enough information for us to know, but clearly he could be right, and clearly he could be wrong. And what we're seeing is, but the point to all of it is that they don't let us know. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just, it keeps you in this state of not knowing. Now, I was surprised, maybe more, I didn't want to be surprised this way. So maybe it was more of that when he was asked about Giuliani, though. And he said that he was not a good guy. And then I remember when we were chatting once and we were trying to figure out where we stood on that, and you had talked about what could have potentially been a humiliation ritual.
Black dye running down his face. Yeah.
You know, but again, are we supposed to think he's a bad guy? Like, and God bless Phil, you know, I feel like if he really knows, maybe he's saying things he needs to say for the good of the plan, right?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying he's saying things because he doesn't know, but if he's saying things and they're not right, there's a reason probably that they're not right, you know?
Yeah, now let's talk about Phil. If he's full of shit, right? And this is why people say, oh, you don't watch him anymore, do you? I watch everyone. Because if people are full of shit, I'm going to enjoy watching them taken down, right? But if he's not full of shit, and you've got to have some gall to do what he does, if you know you're lying, right? Which makes me think, you know, I can't believe people are like that. Well, we see a lot of Democrats and all these swamp creatures and all that doing it, you know, lying out the side of their face. But if you are in the know and you are putting out information and you do have some people behind the scenes giving you information, you also have to put out disinformation.
Right. For the good of the plan to happen the way it's supposed to and not giving away the secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, I'll leave that video. We don't need to watch that. We've seen so many of those. This is, oh, that's him again.
Yep, we saw him.
I should have a couple in here, but this is even Vladen de Burke. That's easy for me to say, wasn't it? She's just talking about censorship. You know her, don't you? She's this Dutch girl, I think.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So, update. Turns out I'm not being shadow banned by X. I am being shadow banned in the EU only by the EU, obviously. Because for those of you who've been following me, you know that I've been warning you guys about the Digital Services Act, this online safety law that the EU put forth a few years ago. And one of the requirements that that law has is that to protect children online, certain content has to be age restricted. Obviously, like they're talking about things like pornography or very aggressive or violent material. But also, yours truly has been flagged as someone who creates sensitive content. And so all of my posts now have this sensitivity warning, and you have to actively go and click it and verify your age to be able to see what I post and what I write. And my name, when you search for my name, just won't pop up in the search engine. You will get every single impersonator and fake account under the sun presented to you, but not mine, not the verified 1 million follower plus profile. I don't know. The fact that I posted my speech again attacking Ursula von der Leyen 3 days ago might have something to do with the fact why they flagged my profile. Might. It's just an educated guess, I suppose. But exactly what I said also, even just last week in Washington, you know, at that panel about independent media with General Mike Flynn, is happening to me right now. They are, under the guise of online safety, censoring dissident voices. And I don't know what to do about it. I hope that X can do something about it. But this is our reality here in Europe. They just flag you and they take your online presence away from you because they don't like what you have to say. Welcome to the EU SSR.
EU SSR. Now, that's quite interesting, really, isn't it? Because you said it wasn't X, it's the EU. Yeah. Now, then we know censorship is still happening because we both got taken down off YouTube last week during our live. Both stayed up on Twitter and Rumble. Absolutely no problem at all, which is why I say to people, come to these platforms.
Well, let's just clarify one thing. And believe me, I'm not defending YouTube, but YouTube has a very strong policy and has for many, many years about copyright flagging. So we were showing a movie, and that's why they took us down, because of copyright infringement. So it's not exactly the same as censorship for subject matter. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a little different.
Yeah. Okay. So what she's saying there is that obviously it wasn't Twitter, it's the EU.
Yes.
Now, obviously we think Trump's did his capitulation tour and most of these people are under control. So is that to direct people's attention to Europe and NATO and all these things we're seeing?
I think it's also what's been done here. And there's no question. See, with regard to the censorship, right? And of course, as co-producer, and of course you were in the movie, Dear Mr. President, where we talk about censorship, we see from that movie that censorship goes way back. You know, it's not like something that just happened in the recent years, but of course it's become so much more obvious to everyone, and it's hurt people financially, it's hurt them with their livelihoods, et cetera, and it's just hurt the general public because we're trying to put out information that we hope will help and give people the opportunity to do their own research and think outside the box. So is it also that they're trying to also red pill the people over there? And if people over there are being censored too, is it going to, like you just said, it's going to also put the focus for people to, you know, Europe's now in the spotlight a little bit. I think, again, you know, we've had long discussions about this. I think censorship is, there's censorship, and then there's the controlled censorship, which is meant to have us wake up. So it might be incumbent on them to start really doing that in Europe where it's obvious.
Yeah, well, they've been doing it to me for a long time in Europe. Yeah. Had so many accounts deleted, but
well, you're in a little bit of a special class because you were, you know, speaking to things very early on and very aggressively, you know, trying to wake people up about stuff. And so, but I do think there's a bigger picture to the now. I'm not talking about years before, but now I think there's a bigger picture to what the purpose of this is. And I think a lot of it is to get people to continue to talk about it and bring it to the attention, because just like, you know, in Mel's movie, the censorship wasn't just about like certain things that we've come to realize, like, you know, health things and child trafficking. It was a way that they were able to control our thoughts.
Yeah.
So that the whole idea of being censoring needs to be out there. In fact, we were talking about maybe doing a watch party with Dear Mr. President.
Yeah, I'll be up for that. And I think there's a few films coming out in the future and stuff that we could do, and it'd be good to do them. Because as soon as these things come out, the last film I watched was An Inconvenient Study with Del Bigtree, and that is amazing. But what we should do is maybe not watch it and all watch it together, right? Yeah. Which would be interesting. So we watch it raw and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I look forward to doing that. Now, we've been on 2 hours, 12 minutes, so we could just speed this up a little bit and go through some of these. There's a lot of these posts coming out now. It seems to me that the young Americans need another 9/11, and there was a lot of posts coming out like this. But we're seeing this Israel anti, you know, all this sorts of stuff coming out all the time. I've got a few more of these videos of exploding packages we can go back to. That's 4 minutes of Pam Bondi, but she just went on Levin and gave a few updates on the Epstein documents. I started asking for these documents right when I came into office. I found resources told me that New York's SDNY are sitting on thousands more pages regarding Epstein. And I think we're going to see all those come out. This is quite funny because Trump, I don't need to show you that, really. People don't need to see that. Or do they? Yeah, they do. Trump showed Bin Salman the picture of Bob.
Walking down that former presidential walk, as I like to call it. It's beautiful. It's just off to the right of the new Rose Garden floor that they have put in, where there are tables and all of that part of that construction. And now they'll go in, head over to the Oval Office for the traditional bilateral, taking questions from reporters. We anticipate both leaders will take questions. We will cover that live as it's coming up. This visit is clicking along pretty quickly now, with some unexpected stops along the way. But the Oval Office is just a few steps away from where they are now. So we may hold for just a second while they walk through the door here. Let's talk about just briefly what this means. It is a reflection, as you heard, U.S. Ambassador to the UN joined me moments ago, saying, Ambassador Walsh said, this is kind of what the president got in the Middle East, with now friends in the Middle East. And so with the hope of perhaps Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords, and becoming part of a greater solution, a vision that President Trump has had since his first term, or during his first term, continuing on to now, is this welcome, this spending of time, these extra moments, the relationship building. They're going into the White House now. We'll take it live when they reach the Oval Office.
I think they're having a right laugh, those two, don't you?
Yeah. When they were sitting there talking, right, and he's looking all official, he's probably like, "Ah, look at this, look at that." we're in the middle of our show now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we whiz through a few of these. Then this is more on the Texas designating about the Muslim Brotherhood.
On Antifa, what comes next after designating Antifa a terrorist
We're
organization?
going to designate too, but we're going to look at the people that funded Antifa, see who they are, where they came from, and why they did. Have you seen Portland at all? Have you taken a look at what's happening in Portland? It's, I mean, this has been going on for years. It's just people out of control. They're crazy. We're going to stop that very soon. We have to get rid of a couple of other problems first. We're going to get rid of the problems in Memphis, where you can't even walk a block without getting shot. We're going to get rid of the problems in Chicago. Chicago's a great city. We have to save it. We have to save it. I told you I had the head of the Union Pacific Railroad in my office, and I said, so what do you think? You go to every city, you have railroads, and you are the biggest railroad, beautiful railroad. He's a great guy. I said, what do you think? He said, sir, save Chicago. Don't let it go down. Save it.
Well, that goes back into that. What's his name? Dwayne Johnson, isn't it? Is that his name? The Chicago mayor calling him for the
to end ICE.
Yeah, calling him for United Nations, I think it was, wasn't he? Foreign forces.
Yes.
And stuff. That's just these are just sort of good videos. This is a great little post from the unvaccinated already passed our test. We lived through what was supposedly the most deadly pandemic of our lifetime. None of us regret not to get in that shot. People forget the message was this: obey and comply, or you're going to die from the virus. That was it. We chose to rebel and we lived. That's the end of the story. No government approved graph or paid for big pharma study can refute that. It's all meaningless in the face of reality. Either we're all walking miracles, or the narrative was a complete lie. Which is it?
Yep. Well, we know.
Yeah, we do know. Washington, a man severely ill with unpredictable virus never seen before in humans. So this is a potential push for some sort of bird flu. We've seen many of these in the past, but it was I didn't know that story about the ostriches. Did you know that?
I didn't. And I forgot where I was I don't remember where I heard it, that it's funny. It's always like in the fall, they always have these, they always start gearing up with all this, because I guess if you look at flus and, colds, and you've got, tremendous changes in temperature, you have the body is starting to, cleanse itself, right? And so you're going to see more of that. And that's always when they have the deadly stuff they start talking about, because people are, going to be that much more primed to think they're in mortal danger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a little meme come out here, which is
truth over facts.
We do a little trolling. It's called we do a little trolling.
It's amazing how people make that stuff, isn't it? This like AI is getting so good.
It's you can't tell, and that's all the more reason that we don't know what's happening, because we don't know what they're showing us. We're not right there, so how do we know?
No. Exactly. So this was the scene after the Canadian government slaughtered over 300 healthy ostriches under the cover of darkness by shooting them. Some wounded survivors still writhing on the ground in agony overnight were beheaded. This is disgusting. Now, I've seen lots of clips and stuff of that. It was really interesting because I was watching Taro Barjanine and Jean-Claude, and she pulled the cards on this, and she's done it again and again and again. And I'm not going into it's fake or things like that, but she was saying there was something not right about this. And then I was listening to Alpha Warrior and Josh on one of their shows, and they were talking about this, the fact that with this potential push of H1 bird flu, were these ostriches sort of immune to this virus, so they had to take them out if they were going to push something? It's just something we need to look at and keep our eyes on. But
you know, I have a different take, which totally I have no basis for, but it just hit me. You know, there's been a lot of underground experimentations with animals and things like that, and lots of other nefarious stuff. And so I wonder if this had something to do with getting rid of something that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I mean, it's awful, whatever. You don't like to see any animal or being be killed. But I just don't know if I buy that the bad guys are that much in control. And if they whenever we see these narratives and these stories that come out, usually they're manufactured. So are we supposed to be watching this, you know, for some reason? But I think it kind of harkens a little bit back to all the animals that died, if you know, whatever it was 3 years ago, that they just keeled over, you know, and now we pretty much have surmised that they were vaxxed, poisoned, whatever. It was a something that was going on for our good that was able to look at, and then they were able to do a 5D chess and say, well, they're trying to starve us and get rid of all our food supply and blow up these plants. And so I think we need to let it play out a little more with this, and that maybe under the old narrative, it would have been because maybe that what you said, like they were immune, but maybe there's something more, I don't know, bad that was happening with these animals, or how they, you know, how there's all these, we hear now about all these experiments and breeding of things that are bad, and what are they breeding it with? So maybe there's more that we need to wait to see what happens, and maybe that was not necessarily a bad guy operation, but a good guy operation made to look like a bad guy operation.
Yeah, you might be right. Eyes on.
Eyes
Anyway.
on. Yeah.
Right, just a couple of videos here. I haven't got a title for this, but I know it must be important if I put it in here. But it's Young Turks. I think because what I think we're seeing this guy. I think his name's Chad. Is it Chad Hager or something? But he is staunchly anti-Trump, isn't he? And has been. Whether he's coming round or not, I don't know. But then we've got a video after that with all the Democrats telling the forces to
not listen. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just play them both in succession. Then, okay?
Sure.
He's watching, if you, I read the whole story, of course, and he's watching the entire hearings and he's texting people different directions. Did anybody know that Epstein was running our government? I mean, that was amazing. Did you see? She doesn't know who Rona is, so she misspells it in the text. She thinks it might be an acronym for something. And then she says, Ms. Rona. Rona's her first name. It's Rona Graff, the assistant for Trump. She literally has no idea what she's asking. She's only asking that question because Epstein directed her to ask that question. And interesting that Epstein at that point is directing people on how to damage Trump. So that doesn't serve any of my interest for me to tell you that, but that's what's happening in that hearing, right? You got to be fair and you got to call out what's actually happening. But what's interesting in all the emails is Epstein goes back and forth, back and forth. Should we hurt Trump or should we help Trump? Should we hurt or help? And depending on what Trump is saying. And he categorizes Trump as dangerous. My guess as to why he thinks Trump is dangerous is because usually when someone is bought or blackmailed, they stay bought or blackmailed.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army,
Or Navy?
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws.
Our Constitution.
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Now that's crazy, isn't it? That is.
Okay, so wait, go back. It says don't give up the ship. The first thing that hit me is ship is admiralty law.
Yeah.
And I find it really weird that they say ship. And I think there's a lot more to that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, the elected Democrats just released a video encouraging members of the military to commit treason and divide orders from Trump and Hegseth. Now, it's...
But it's interesting what they say, though. I'm sorry. It's just very interesting what they say because they're talking about following the Constitution. And yet everything that, for God knows how long, has been anti-constitutional, right? Everywhere you look.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of interesting.
That is
and
interesting.
this ship thing, because we are moving away from that, the corporation, all that stuff. So, but again, there's something so much deeper, in my opinion, about what's going on with that. And I don't, is it again another way to weed out people? I think that's sort of a very low level interpretation of what that is. But, and are these really bad guys that made this video?
Yeah, maybe it's a setup to get people to go against the orders and all that. So you can go, oh, there's one, and there's one.
Right.
Yeah, and what he was saying there, Young Turks and stuff like that, he has been so almost Whoopi Goldbergish towards Trump over like the last 4 years, and now he's red pilling his audience. You see, it's coming from the channels that we told you it would come from.
100%.
Brilliant. Okay, we're getting closer to the end now. I don't even know what this video is, but posted it at 1717 though. So
that's very interesting. Worth seeing.
I don't care if they...
Yeah, this is good. This is a great little video. This just for patriots out there that have been attacked and lambasted and taken the piss out of over these years and all that. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. We're all on the same team.
I don't care if they talk shit. I don't talk to hypocrites. If you hate me, that's just fine. Go on down and get in line. They try to tell me what I need, and it sure ain't nothing good for me. Don't care what they say, it's all just talk. Gonna head my way and walk my walk. They try to bend me, but I won't break. I pay no mind to the noise they make. I keep my head, I hold my ground. Ain't no man gonna knock me down. They can swing, but I won't flinch. I was built for times like this. So talk your shit, but be aware. I don't care.
Yeah. Hold the line, everyone. Hold the line.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get that back on the screen. Right, now, you posted this, didn't you? What did you want to say about this? Because this is about an hour long, isn't it? Did you want people
Oh, yeah, no. I think maybe post the, or let people take a screenshot, or if we could even potentially copy and paste into the chat. This goes back, to what we already knew. It's the list. I think if anything, the only part of this that might make sense, I think at the very beginning, it has, it shows those lists of all the people. So, this information has been out there. That's That's kind of like what I don't get, because it's all been very readily available out in the public to be able to see the flight logs, especially the flight logs, and who was on it. I mean,
Yeah,
we
I've got that. That's been out for ages, and I've got the flight logs, 2 different flight logs, little black book, all the court, a lot of the old court documents, but they're all publicly available. But these are the ones Cuomo, do you remember, was telling us, not Andrew, Chris Cuomo, only the media's allowed to look at these. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's pathetic, wasn't it? So yeah, there's a link on the screen. That's been on there for a little while.
Yeah, so I guess the reason was it caught my eye was just because this stuff has been out there. It's not like there's this mystery. I mean, I don't know, aside from the fact that we realize how tied to the banking system and the sort of infrastructure of things and how deep this whole thing went, which doesn't really, in my opinion, have to do necessarily with the list, right? Because a lot of that stuff was done behind the scenes, or in a clandestine kind of way, that because they have it all, that's how we know what it is. But for people who are like, oh, we want to see the list, it's kind of like out there.
Yeah.
So it's more the representation about who he was doing, not like who went there. And yeah, okay, so they might be slime balls. They might have just gone there and got honeypotted, whatever. But it's more important of how this was tied into and Epstein, not so much Epstein as a person, but as who he represented, who he worked with, who was bankrolling him, how he was a linchpin to all this nefarious stuff that was going on. And I personally think that the banking Wall Street aspect, I mean, even Robert David Steele talks about, Wall Street and where they're getting all their money from, right? And then we hear Bix Weir talking about on Dave, X22 a couple of weeks ago, talking about how there's all this involvement with JP Morgan Chase and Jamie Dimon. I think that is the part of this whole picture that people are going to have a hard time believing and accepting. I mean, you talk about a celebrity. I'm sorry. Yeah. You talk about a celebrity, you talk about politicians. Okay. Maybe that makes a little initial shock if they don't know, but I think it's really how every major institution that we relied on, we worked with, we were told was integral to our survival and our daily life, that is what is going to bring, people to this sense of not believing.
Yeah, well, I think there's other lists of names that we haven't seen, the people behind the curtains and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And it's potentially these people that have put these lists out anyway. But there's also, with Trump going, he's still talking about that Epstein nonsense and stuff like that, because I believe the White Hats knew that there was Epstein files out there that have been completely corrupted, and they'd set a trap for Trump and the White Hats, so that when these got released, it would name people like Trump and Flynn and all the big names in this, not the actual offenders. So there's a game of cat and mouse going on here, and we need to see it. Now, you've got rapid fire there. Now, I've got that Phil clip set up where he was talking about the weather, wasn't he? And I've set it up just after 46 minutes.
It was 46 minutes, yeah.
How long does he talk for?
I think it's about 5-6 minutes.
Right.
And you could cut it off whenever you want, but it's just very interesting because I had never heard any of this. Like, yes, flat earth, yes, the firmament, yes, that there's water above and below, but the stuff he said kind of like really made me have to suspend everything I know, or think I know, been taught, I should say.
Okay, well, love him or hate him, like Marmite, we're going to have a listen. I'll put it on 1.5. Just wave at me if it's too fast, because I listen to everything like this. But he talks quite slow as well.
Wow, so many questions about chemtrails. All right, since there's an overwhelming amount of chemtrail questions, that if I had to read them, I would be here for a half an hour. I'm just going to summarize this. We live in a terrarium. We live in an electromagnetic terrarium. That's what Earth is. It is not a planet, a floating rock in some infinite universe. That's not Earth. I know that's what they tell you, and it's just not true. Just like many other things that they've told us are just not true. We live in a terrarium. We live in a quote-unquote snow globe. We live on a flat plane with a dome over it. And the dome is made by God, and the flat plane was made by God. Now, when you live in an enclosed environment, such as that, there has to be some sort of system for irrigation. Because if you don't start that closed circuit dome with water, I'm going somewhere with chemtrails, you'll see. If you don't start water in that terrarium, if you put water in the terrarium at the beginning of the terrarium, it'll be self-sufficient. The whole thing will water itself, moisture in the air, rain. So when God created the earth, he created this system that there were waters above, meaning above the firmament, above the sky. There's water up there. The water above the firmament probably has to do with the firmament being able to regenerate itself. The firmament is a living thing. Somehow it regenerates if it's broken or drilled into or a bomb is blown up on it, which has happened before. Operation Fishbowl, actually, 1958, look it up. Anyway, high altitude nuclear testing in the sky. Why? Because they were trying to blast through the firmament because they're stupid. Anyway, it didn't work, by the way. But a lot of that energy did get trapped in the firmament. You know how you look up in the night sky and you see that image that they say, oh, well, that's the edge of the Milky Way. No, it's not. It wasn't always there. It was there after their nuclear testing because the energy from the bombs, and I don't think they're nuclear, don't get me into that, but the energy from the bombs got trapped in the firmament. That's why you see that scar in the night sky now. So it's making sense when I speak it, doesn't it? Anyway, when you start this terrarium, like God started, there has to be a source of water inside. So in the Bible, it says there was waters above and waters below. The waters above are most likely some sort of water that helps the firmament regenerate constantly. How it works, we don't know because we're not told the truth. So we have to assume a lot of the details. The waters below are what are important when it comes to chemtrails. Let me explain. The waters below, when Earth started, the way that crops and trees and grass and shrubs and all the vegetation on the earth, mist would come up from the ground. There wasn't rain. There wasn't storms. None of that happened until Noah. There were no weather systems. There was no snow. There was no rain. There was no sleet. There was none of that. No hurricanes, none of that. The watering system was made by God. There was water below the flat earth plane. And the water would shoot up, not in a big geyser form, just little sprays where it needed to go. Yes, it was intelligent because God created it. So God created us. Our eyes contain 10 trillion created it. So God created us. Our eyes contain 10 trillion cells. God is a genius. So the earth would water itself till the flood. Why do you think, where do you think the water came from during the flood? How did the earth get so flooded that no land remained? And after the water seceded, that's when the Grand Canyon was formed and our mountain ranges were formed and all of that. Where do you think that water came from? Well, God opened up the waters above and it flooded, and he opened up the waters below and they shot up. 30 days and 30 nights. Filled up the earth, everyone drowned, except Noah and his family. So after the waters seceded and Noah and his family repopulated the earth, there were no more waters below. Waters above, probably still something there because the firmament does still regenerate since the days of the flood. The waters below are no more. There's nothing there. They are now all on Earth's surface. They are our oceans. They are our lakes. They are our rivers, and so forth. Now, without waters below, And without an irrigation system that was designed by God and put into place by God, since that is no more, weather now must be controlled by man. We need, did I say seceded? I meant reseeded. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. My bad. No comm. I just misspoke. Weather now must be created by man. Now you could say, oh, well, weather's been around since, has it? You sure about that? The only weather we know about is post late 1800s. And that's when the last reset occurred. The Great Reset, where the lands shift. The ice wall moves. New lands are thawed. Old current lands are frozen. So in order to get water to areas of the world, you have to control the weather. You have to make it. You have to put something up in the sky, and you have to seed the clouds. You have to plant storms in the clouds. Rainstorms, thunderstorms. Now, the lightning, that's an effect of an electromagnetic earth that we live on. We live on an electromagnetic coil, some sort of extremely large electromagnetic device. Everything on this earth is powered by electromagnetism. Even us. You ever hear of the term grounding? When you go outside and you ground yourself and you become one with the that's why. So these weather systems are man-made. They always have been. Sometime in the early 1900s, maybe even late 1800s, we figured out a way to generate weather systems. That is what chemtrails are. Now, when you think of chemtrails, you ask me, well, they're dangerous, right? Well, the titanium that they use, which is part of the cloud seeding, the titanium that they use to create these weather systems is dangerous. Yes. They put it out in the clouds. A lot of it forms, different high pressure systems, low pressure systems. When those combine, that's when you get. So yes, it is dangerous. The chemicals that they use to create these systems, but it's not specifically to harm us. That is a byproduct, though, of the system, of the man-made system. And yes, the jets that you see in the sky and the big X's that you see up there, and that is, let me tell you something right now. You walk outside and it's a nice blue sky, right? Later in the day or the next day, you see all of it's not exhaust coming from a jet, right? I mean, we know that, right? It's literally lines of chemicals, and they do them in certain positions so that maybe they have to be certain miles apart. I don't know how it works exactly, but they put them in those certain positions so that when the chemicals fall into the atmosphere, it creates a system. Whenever you see those chemtrails in the sky, I promise you, 100% of the time, you will see a weather system in the coming days. Where it hits, how quickly it hits, depends on several factors. How much of the chemicals were used to create that system. If they use a lot, you're going to see a big one. If they use a little, you'll see some rain showers. Now, here's the biggest problem with chemtrails. First of all, if we didn't have chemtrails, we wouldn't have weather. That's a problem, for sure. Can you imagine most areas of the country without having water? No rain. Everything pretty much would be a desert. Anything that's not located near the ocean or a major lake system or a river system, you wouldn't have water. So that's a problem. So over the years, they've been trying to change the chemical makeup of what they use for this cloud seeding. The problem with chemtrails is not so much that, but it is, much like everything else in this world, the technology has fallen into the wrong hands. And weather systems are now being used as a weapon. That's why you see massive hurricanes hit some of the poorest parts of the United States, or even outside of the United States. Earthquakes. The only natural earthquakes to ever happen were those that God created. Never has there been a natural earthquake because of a fault line. That is bullshit. That is plate tectonics and all that's all bullshit. None of that is true. They reverse engineered a lot of plate tectonic theory so that it fits with where they test the technology that they have, specifically in California, which is where most earthquakes occur in the United States. I know that's a lot to swallow. Welcome to the other side. Everything that you know is a lie. Everything.
Stop there, yeah? Right. Let me just remove that a minute. Can you hear me, yeah? Right.
Sorry, yes, sorry. Muted.
And that's all very interesting. My main question there is, if God opened up the firmament and gushed up the waters from below to flood the earth and then sealed up the firmament, why didn't God put the waters below again?
Well, at first he made it sound like this happened in 1958 after they tried to blast through, and there's a scar. But
no, he said that was when Noah.
Right, he said that the scar was like the Milky Way or whatever, that they've told us. But with Noah, now I wasn't there.
No, nor was
I find sometimes I have a hard time with that because I vacillate back and forth. I know Phil is very verbal and out there about the fact that this whole alien agenda and being, manipulated, our DNA and all that kind of stuff by, he's never gone real deep, but he just insists a lot that had nothing to do with our creation, right? And if you look into a lot of those theories, they do say that the Noah story was more about like the 2 by 2 by 2 was about genetics and the genetics of these different types of species. I don't know. Do I believe that Noah's family repopulated? I don't know. There's like a lot of things there that I'm not sure I have accepted, or there's still questions to me. So therefore, what I'm getting to is that what was this flood? Because the flood is the thing that seemed to have affected everything. But if the flood affected everything, then, and we had to start cloud seeding, when were airplanes invented?
Yeah.
Exactly. 19 whatever, the Wright brother, I don't know, maybe, unless they had this technology always, right? Another technology that they had and we didn't know about, and they were doing this kind of stuff, but we didn't realize. I don't know. It's to me a lot to swallow.
Yeah, well, it's just, I listen to things like that and I'll take it with a pinch of salt. It's like, have you seen the Noah film with Russell Crowe, right? And it's probably one of the last films I watched, and I've only watched it because it was biblical and in this movement and part of this awakening. I don't watch any stuff anymore. But at the end of that, I think Noah had a couple of sons. Anyway, he fell out one of his sons or something. And his other son went off to help repopulate the earth, but he went off on his own.
Okay. So who was he populating it with?
That's my question.
I mean, right? Because where were the women? And if only his family survived, then it would have been incest. And we all would have been crazy, we would have had.
That's the other part of it. It's like I wasted a couple of hours of my life again. And I thought, what? Made no sense. Anyway.
So I just thought it was interesting because, again, some of the things that we don't know, we don't understand, we're not sure. It's always worth hearing different theories and what the idea is. But I'm having a hard time personally, like coming to terms with this in my own mind, because there's a lot of flaws in, like, when we start talking, right?
Yeah. Well, just take it all on board and let's see what happens. Right, the 4 PSYOP group was just posted a new video on Instagram. yesterday, and this has got quite a few comms in it. People have been digging into this, but I don't know if I can stop it in the right places, but I'll see if I can.
Motion in the game. Goddamn army.
There's another force applied in combat that we generally don't think of as a weapon of war. That weapon is words. Words are weapons.
Telling the truth is the only way in which to influence people.
This is psychological warfare.
Oh, it goes too fast. There's loads of bits in there, screenshots and stuff I've seen, but it's going so fast. People have been obviously stopping it at a time. But right, this is a little video you've posted. I'm sorry, this is hysterical. What's that?
You gotta watch this.
All right, let's watch it then.
So I'm going to give a little example.
So ideally, because there's different ways, by the way. You can fit it how you want to, but you could make one side short, one side long, right? And then you put it over and over around your face. And some days you get creative, you put a pin. I freestyle everything I do, as you can see. And then I just tuck it in right here. And you wrap it around your quarters and make sure your bosom covered. There's different ways, but this is the most simple way that you can wear it.
Where is that? What's going on there?
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Now,
where is it?
So supposedly she's supposedly an officer. You know, there's the NYPD stuff behind. It's probably what they're trying to show us is now that Mamdani is in, now everything's going to go Muslim and Sharia and all that stuff. And the fact that he's the mayor, right? So that this is the New York City Police Department. And this is what this is the focus of what they're going to be, doing.
It's just more movie, isn't it?
I mean, it's so absurd. Now, I don't know where this went or but I picked it up on one of the Telegram channels. So, yeah.
Well, right. Trump's making more stuff. He's just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. You can screenshot there and have a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And that. Yeah. John Herald, if you do not stand on the rug, it cannot be pulled from under you. So just always remember that, people. For anyone still doubting that kayfabe is premier narrative weapon of choice for Donald Trump, consider the optics of Elon Musk being a guest of honor in his meeting with Mohammed bin Salman. The point, Trump and Elon signal growth. All gas, no brakes to the golden age that's burning bright. So they've been pounds on and off.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because when we had Tom Althouse on the other day, and he was telling us a lot of things about Elon.
Yeah.
Which I've been saying just for a number of years, just like from stuff I read, I never really thought he was on the good side, but that maybe he was, controlled, or it's Elon 2.0 or who the hell knows. But he does seem to always have him out front and center. And it's really funny. People that I know are like, oh, I love Elon. I love him, and he's so cute, and da 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 da, and this and that and the other thing. But then what we heard about X, right?
Yeah, but I look right at. Yeah, I know any of these could be serpents in the past. Any of them could be replaced. Some of them could be clones, robots, and CGI and all that sort of stuff. But I look at what they're doing at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And everything Elon seems to be doing at the moment, right? Apart from a few, people still being censored on Twitter and certain algorithms, things like that. Everything he's doing seems to be part of this plan and this awakening. So,
100%.
it's all good. Right, this is Trump. Communist mayor in New York City, Zoran Kwame Mamdani, has asked for a meeting. We have agreed that this meeting will take place at the Oval Office on Friday, November the 21st, tomorrow. So that, no doubt, will be in front of the cameras, won't it? So we might see a shooting match there. Beautiful. Let's bring it on. I want to say to people, watch out for the name Rachel Chandler coming into the child handler. These people are sick. She was in the Q drops many, many times. And this is people say as well that the reason Friends was one of the most popular TV shows, that the two main characters were called Rachel and Chandler, right. Because when people went searching for this, it would come up as Friends.
Oh.
Not heard that before. You see, that's deceptive, isn't it? And things like that. And if you look at, Matthew Perry died, didn't he, suspiciously and stuff like that. And some of the, that phrase, they never thought she would lose, right?
Yes.
And we've seen a lot of these Hollywood celebrities posting all these sick tweets and stuff, about pedos and young boys and girls and stuff like that. And I think it was Courtney Cox, because I used to love her to bits. And I think she tweeted once, how long does it take to cook a baby in a microwave? I don't know. I close my eyes when I orgasm or something like that. And it's just the things they were coming out with. Don't quote me on that. I need to go back and look at that. But the stuff these people were posting, like that Patton Oswald, who's in the Q drops, and see a couple of the stuff he posted and all that. I'm a proud paedophile and things like this. It's just crazy shit, man. So hopefully all these fucking lot are going to be completely outed. I want to play that. That's Meg. Don't need to play that. That's just a meme of those two. Deportation part. That's quite good. Brainwashing our children. Yeah. So a couple more things to post. You got got a few minutes, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting.
Okay. You're saying they're brainwashing. Okay. You're saying these people that are experts in brainwashing is using the Department of Education to brainwash our children.
Yes.
What are they after? Why are they doing it?
Well, if you want to move a country from a free individualistic economy,
which we have.
Yes, or had.
Okay.
To a planned economy, you have to do it through the schools. You have to dumb down and brainwash, change the attitudes and values. You have to completely, social engineering has to go on constantly. And many teachers know what I'm talking about. And people are going to say, well, when did this start? And who on earth ever did this? Why would a plan like that be allowed to be carried out?
That's right.
Well, then you have to go back to 1934, which I will do, and we have to go to the three-pronged fork, okay? So I do think that the watershed year, although you can go back to the early part of the century when the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Corporation were deeply involved in education, and that it was decided then that Carnegie would deal with the international part and Rockefeller domestic. They commissioned the American Historical Association to put together a study of the social studies, and they came up with lots of volumes, but I have one little volume, Conclusions and Recommendations for the Social Studies. And basically that little one is an original book. I wish I brought it with me. Too bad, but I don't even dare let it out of the house. It's so important. It called for changing the United States through the schools from a free individualistic economy to a socialist, collectivized, planned economy in the New World Order.
It says that in the book.
Yes.
And that book was written when?
In 1934.
By who?
It was the Carnegie Corporation paid for it. The American Historical Association put it together. And
can people get that book in the library?
No.
No.
No, they can't. They were very instrumental in getting the Elementary and Secondary Education Act passed, which, as I said before, changed education from knowledge, content-based, academic, to performance-based behavior. And from that time on, because that was necessary for what we're looking at now with school to work agenda is the planned economy is performance-based.
So they're training workers.
They're training
not thinkers, not leaders.
Exactly. At that time, you had a general, Buck Chisholm, a Canadian general psychiatrist, who was a very close friend of Alger Hiss's. And he gave a speech in 1945 to the World Health Organization, which basically recommended getting rid of the conscience.
Wow.
Yes. And he said we would do it through the schools. We would retrain the teachers to be little psychiatrists. He said it is an international system they're looking at. They're going to change the behavior of the children. They're going to change the teachers' training. They're going to do everything. He told them everything.
And they didn't believe him?
No, they just let, well, you know what goes on.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it? They've been after the kids for years.
Shit like that just leaves you dumbfounded.
I know. Heartbreaking, isn't it? This is why so many people are homeschooling now. Right, there's just a few more little bits, so we'll just have a laugh. There's a couple more of these videos I'm going to play because you like those first ones.
They're great.
Look what you did to me because of a bicycle! I can't wash it off anymore! You have to be punished!
Hey, man. Hey, don't leave. All right, I'm going.
You think it's funny? Blue hair, blue face, blue everything? You ruined my coat! Go, go, go! Ow! Ow!
What is that, a pink gun?
Oh, what the? Oh, it's in my eyes! What the? Oh, it's in my eyes. Huh? What the? Oh! 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 You've got to be kidding me! Oh! It's in my mouth! Ah! 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 Ah!
You see this? Huh? You see what your kid just did to me? I'm standing here drenched, head to toe, in paint. You think this is funny? This is my brand new hoodie. I was just walking my dog past your driveway and boom, bug.
I mean, what do you think of that, though? Do you think they're real?
I'm sure, you know, some of it is like for effect, but you know, for just making a funny video, but you gotta figure some of them are true. Ones that really look and sound surprised.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
They do. Right, I've just got there's one more and then a video to end. This is people are making so many memes like this, and you know, I just want to say that we both believe, you know, immigration is essential, and we love people from all around the world. But this is getting these illegal criminals out of all these nations, right? That are, and
100%.
we believe there'd be some sort of self-deportation anyway, don't we? Because the other thing I was thinking, you know, about Nasara, Jassara like that, and self-deportation and stuff like that. If every country goes sovereign, and you have a true king or leader that is for the people and wants to rebuild that nation with the people, I thought it was only yesterday actually that I think these people might have a call to home. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
You know,
100%.
why
would you want to be? Yeah, why wouldn't you want to be in the land that you grew up in, that your family's in, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Anyway, this is a bit of a laugh.
Okay.
You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
Welcome to Deportation Park.
Yeah, those are parents.
They do.
Parents.
It's amazing how much time some people have got in their hands, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
And we've got to have a laugh to get through this.
And the creativity.
Because it's crazy at times. Right. I've got one 10-minute video to play here. And this woman, let me just tee it up. Right. Because she went, I don't know if you've seen this, have you? She went viral. So many were posting this. She's just really quite heartfelt in this movement. She's one of us. She's a patriot and stuff. So I don't know if you want to play this to finish or watch it and then have a chat after just to finish.
Yeah, we could finish. And we're going to, everybody, don't forget to tune in tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. No. Yes. 12:30 Eastern. I'm so confused. We just booked so many shows, like at this time, that time. Yeah, no, tomorrow is 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. And what is that? 5:30 UK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason Q.
Thank you.
So he's going to deep dive on whatever he wants to do. You've got free reign, Jason. Absolutely no problem at all. Yeah. This girl, she's just part of this truth movement and she's fighting and she's having a little cry and stuff, but it's really quite a sweet video, really. So let's play this.
Yeah, it's this morning. It just hit me. I want to say thank you to every Q folk, every conspiracy realist, every truther, all of you. I just want to say thank you because it's the ones that were indifferent. It was the ones that were pushed aside or the black sheep, or it was all of y'all who were the quiet ones who it was because God chose us. Blessed with eyes to see and ears to hear. It really touches you. It really does. It really, it touched me this morning because I want to just say thank you to you guys for not ever giving up and to always continue the fight. And because of this, we have a nation. Yeah, don't mind. Look, I'm rough this morning. I just sat here having my coffee and it just hit me. Like, oh my God. I have a few of these, but this one was a deep hit. And I don't know if everything's going on or whatever, but we're down to now the Clintons are in the headlines. So this thing has been speed railing. And if you've been following along, you know how fast this is moving. And it's starting to pick up, which means we're getting close, which means we don't know what's on the other side of everything. I mean, we've all speculated, we've all given our best answers that we could to help us, to give faith, to give light in the world that's so cold and dark. We have fought through so much adversity to get where we are today, and so many people are waking up. If you read, it really hit me hard, because if you read your news channels when they're pushing the vaccines, oh Lord, Clint, where are you, man? Because he's been posting about this too. If you see the news channels when they're pushing the vaccines and you read the comment sections and you look at how many laugh emojis there are, people have awakened to the madness. It means the most, because we have pushed so hard to try to save. We were told in the beginning of this movement, save them all. It doesn't matter what race, color, age, degree, whatever you are, you save them all. You just keep going. You don't stop. And so many patriots have pushed us and pushed us and pushed us to keep going, because we've gotten so tired and so beaten up all these years. And it's finally starting to work, and we see it in the fruit. You see it. And it is amazing. It is the most beautiful thing to see, that the world is awakening. And that is so beautiful. And if it doesn't touch you, you don't have a fucking soul, man. So yes, this morning it is very heavy. Like, it's not it's a beautiful heavy, but it's refreshing to see it. It's refreshing. All them years, people have mocked us and ridiculed us and laughed at us and called us Nazis and murderers and all that bullshit, man. MAGAs and our maggots and all that crap, man. It was never about red versus blue. At first, when we started, it was, yes, but that got the movement going. And then we all realized that it wasn't the red versus blue. This is literally spiritual. This is literally good versus evil. This is God separating the wheat from the chaff. You are watching in live action. Revelations, you're watching it all come out. And it's very humbling. And I just want to thank every truther for never giving up, never folding. Man, it's been so hard on us. And to come from trauma, to come from a life of abuse and and PTSD and all that crap, right? To go back on the battlefield and go back into the shit and come back out stronger than ever. That is only God who would carry us all of us together, man. We all helped each other, but I read this, I bought this from Hobby Lobby because it stood out so much, and I read it every day. I sit here and I have my coffee and I read it every day. Always pray to have eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, a mind that forgets the bad, and a soul that never loses faith in God. Because boy, let me tell you, we have been through the most, man. It's so beautiful to see this plan and the people behind it. We have been through the worst of the worst. We've seen evil. We've seen it looked in the eyes, man. We were in the grave and we got brought out. It's so beautiful, man. This is beautiful tears. It's not even, I'm not sad. I have a lot going on. You trust me, my drafts, that I have a few in there that's from early November, and I'm so afraid to even post them because it's everybody's gonna think you're just a big crybaby. But no, this is I feel a new me. I feel a new harvested me, and it is beautiful. I am finally letting go of everything that was holding me back. And the only thing I'm missing is my children, which, I'm talking to two of them, but my son, the situation with my son and his wife and my grandchild, and that's hard on me right now because being convicted of a crime that I haven't committed, is kind of hard. And you want to be a part. Like, I should be enjoying. I should be able to like promote it and be happy and excited for it. But I can't even do that. And it's hard. But I'm keeping my faith in God, and I'm praying over it, and I keep praying over it, and things are slowly happening. Like, she's unblocked me on Facebook, and she's like looking through my stories. So I've messaged her. For a while she wouldn't message back, but then I keep messaging her, and I've told her I'm sorry, and I'm trying to be the bigger person here because it's my grandchild, my first grandchild, and I don't want to miss nothing. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm fixing everything in me so I can be a better grandma, be a better person, and break the chains and the curses that have been holding my family's back, like my family back. Like, so it just no matter how much hard stuff, we've lost our families, we've lost our friends, we have endured so much in this movement, but what's at the other end for us is going to be way more beautiful. And that's what the faith that I keep holding on to, the faith of a mustard seed. And I pray over it every day. I pray over it. I pray over the situation. I pray over, giving I pray over my children. Like, and slowly God is giving me little wins, and I see it, and it just keeps me. I stay in my faith. So just stay in your faith, man. Just stay in it and don't ever lose it. Hold on to it, even when it's dark and lonely and cold and scary. Never lose your faith. Just hold on, okay? Because I'm telling you, God's moving and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm sorry to do this to you guys this morning, but this is what you get with me, man. It's real raw. And look at this. I haven't even done anything with myself. This is no filter. This is me. This is 100% me. And this is what you get. You can ask Cindy. You can ask everybody that's met me. This is me. I am who I say I am. And my fight has always been fight. That's why I fight for humanity. Even when you feel like humanity won't fight for you, you still fight for humanity. Because at the end of the day, when God's knocking at the door, when I'm knocking at that door, I don't want him to say, even though he could because of my past, but
Patriots like that everywhere, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. And, it makes you remember just the shit that we've all been through.
Yeah.
Like,
videos like that.
But, I think a lot of us have had to, like, we've naturally, like, released a lot of that over the last year or so. We're sort of in, like, a new timeline of just forgetting about the bad stuff and just taking with us the good, and and just the soul families that we've created. And I don't know, I just think we've all really ascended a lot.
Yeah, see, I felt like that a long time ago. I don't feel like that now because I am one of the Q people, and I watch everything that's going on, and it is beautiful to see. And I just thought that'd be nice to finish with, because that's our longest show. There's a lot of people. Oh, what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. Had a little glitch, right?
Took me off, and it took you off like that. So yeah, amazing. So how do you think that went like that? It was all right. Probably next time we could sort of trim that a bit and not put so much in there and stuff, but it's just a learning curve, isn't it?
I was just gonna say, yeah,
I shall delete everything out of there, and we can sort of start again a bit more selectively. Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I'm so psyched about tomorrow. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
And don't forget to tune in, everyone. And if you haven't already liked, you need to just like and subscribe to Stu's channel.
Yeah, let me get those for you. If you could.
Yep, Stu's News Live 5 on Rumble.
Find my Rumble channel and Elisa's Rumble channel there. And yeah, it'd be brilliant. And Jason's coming on. That's his Rumble channel there. And, you know, basically everyone, where we go all. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
it. Brilliant. All right, Elisa, I'll talk to you a bit later then. And we'll
Yes.
Oh, I haven't put no, I'm not going to put a finishing video on because that was a
that was kind of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite
all right.
nice.
All right, well,
Excellent.
I'll talk to you later and see you tomorrow, and hope to see all you guys too.
Thanks for watching, people. Brilliant. Where we go, when we go all.